Ay, 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 ugayam, kalayaman, ugayam, kalayaman.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A time zone friendly welcome to the Manila Major. That's right, we're live from the Philippines, home to 100 million people, most of which seem to be Dota 2 fans, especially as we trawled the streets yesterday of those compendiums already on their way, and of course the money rising as well has always been impressive. Here though, we've got $3 million on the line with 16 of the very best teams on the planet competing for the championship. Alongside them, we also have a star-studded lineup here on our first panel of the day. We have a man who is, well, let's just say, in the shopping centre, he's itemising everything. Alongside him, we have a man who has played for more teams in the pro leagues than Charlie has been eliminated in the first round of Mafia. And alongside him, a former Evil Geniuses manager who's ready to spill the beans on what Arteezy has been doing with hotel room service. Purge amongst us, of course, as well. We'll hear from all three of them in just a moment, but first, before we get to them, let's recap exactly how the majors work. We're going to start off today, as I said, with the group stages, but over the next 9 days, all 16 teams will carry on competing. They'll go through the group stage of Group A's, B, and C and D, and the top two will advance to the upper brackets. That's why it's all important in the group stages. The lower two teams, however, are not eliminated. They will drop down into the lower part of the bracket and only have one more life. As I said, we're going to start today with Groups A and B on the panel. We'll focus on Group B itself. And in Group B, we'll kick things off with Team Secret versus Na'Vi. We'll also keep you up to date, thanks to Purge, watching OG versus Empire. And we'll bring you results throughout the day from Group A. Just a reminder for you as well, all 4 matches of the opening to the Manila Major can all be watched on 4 different streams. So you won't miss any of the action at all. And what else do we have? Well, we have our panel here, and they're ready to discuss things in a very in-depth manner, as you'd expect here at the Manila Major. And we'll start things off by talking about how the teams got to Manila. 12, of course, were invited. Slightly controversial in some circles. We were expecting 8 to come through. We got 12, and that kind of ruined our party in many ways. Nahaz, in particular, was very upset. We also had 4 qualified teams, having come through some very, very tough qualifiers indeed. Empire, Mineski, Newbie, and DC. And that's where we'll start our show this morning with all 3 gentlemen. Good morning to you. How is everyone?
Good morning.
Pretty good.
Doing
Yeah,
great.
all good?
Very
All ready?
excited. Well rested.
Well rested, yeah. We've been here for a little while. We've experienced the Manila weather and all of the delights that the hotel has to bring us as well. So, yeah, it's been a good start. We'll start off with these qualifiers, because Purge, these qualifiers were pretty deadly. I mean, let's talk about the Chinese qualifier, which could have been a tournament all of its own.
Yeah, the best way to describe what happened in the Chinese qualifier is that the team that won at Newbie is probably top 4 favored to win the whole tournament. So with that said, who got second place? That could have been like a top 8 team here, potentially.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, the Chinese qualifier was very difficult with Newbie being on such a hot streak. Some of the other tournaments as well were pretty competitive. DC finally gets a major spot, which is good for them. And C was pretty competitive as well.
Yeah, I want to say, with the exception of the Chinese qualifier, every single team that won the qualifier were not the favorites going in. I would say in America it was Shazam, lost to DC. In SCA, it was TNC, choked in the final, lost to Mineski. And in Europe, it was a little bit more wide open, but I don't think too many people favored Empire to win the entire
Who
thing.
even expected Adfinum to come out like that? Seriously, coming out in the top 2. Unfortunately, they didn't get here, but like that battle between them and Empire was pretty absurd.
Yeah, we could have been talking about our boy Syndrin being here. 1 game away.
Yeah, he's been actually pretty close on his team towards a lot of big things. They did pretty well at Epicenter, where everybody expected them to get completely stomped.
Top 4 Dream League.
Yeah, and they did well at Dream League as well. They've been on the cusp of making lands.
But then if you don't make it as a team, go as a coach.
Well, yeah, Syndrin has 4 options. He can win, he can be a caster, Andy can be a coach. There's
Yeah.
got to be a fourth one in there. I'm not going to say what
Yeah.
it is on broadcast because I want
Right.
to work more Valve events, but
Okay.
there's a lot of options for him.
Probably good to keep those jokes quiet early on. I've heard it's not a good thing to do at majors. Charlie, also, talk about DC, North America.
Yeah, I think the organization has finally got the monkey off their back. They don't have to Suns fan their way to tournaments anymore. They finally legitimately won a qualifier, guys.
The only thing I'm worried about for DC, and I say this with all due respect, is their sub is officially, at this event, if anyone gets ill, Slacks has to stand in. That's all I'm worried about for him.
Is that all you're worried about?
All I'm worried about for him.
I think
You
we
know,
can worry a little bit more. They haven't really gotten a chance to play versus like so many different regions, but I think that's probably the bigger worry.
He's like top 15 ranked Omni Knight on Dota Buff.
Yeah,
so
but then
he's
he
got that
knows
going
he's
for
going to
him.
get the respect
Means a
ban.
lot.
He's going to get the
It's
respect ban,
everything.
right?
It's everything.
Yeah,
No,
he's-
I'd give it to him.
Would you?
Yeah,
Just
Why?
like let him
because
show.
it's Slacks. You're
Oh.
Could
scared
you
of
imagine-
Slacks?
Okay, all right.
He rushes Soul Ring, so it's really not good.
But could you imagine that if he actually played
No.
and they banned it?
No.
No, yeah, I don't think we could either.
Okay, I also want to talk about some changes to the game, because for those that don't always tune in and watch every major or watch every tournament that goes on in Dota 2, and maybe just tune in for majors and big tournaments, we've had a patch. It's almost a month old now, 687. So talk us through the major changes.
Well, it's a bit of a weirder patch compared to most. Usually what happens is a big tournament hits, and then right after there's a giant balance change to adjust things that are too strong and to put more heroes in the meta. But this time, ESL Manila was so close to this tournament. It was only about a month away. You can't just stir things up completely right before a major tournament. Yeah. So it's really been one of the more mild patches. There's been a lot of item introductions and things like that. But as a whole, most of the heroes that were played at ESL Manila are also being played here. So it's similar, and there's been a lot of little micromanaging nerfs every other week or so. All the top heroes get nerfed. So heroes like Doom has been pretty nerfed compared to where he was at Manila. But as a whole, it's solidified, but it's not completely solid yet. And it's going in a certain direction.
Doom probably the most out of any of them, because like Beastmaster, we did see he got a little bit of a nerf, but you know he's still absolutely one of the most commanding ones. He's banned pretty much every single game. It didn't really affect him too much. And then Phoenix, kind of the same thing. Sunray is the hero, as we've all joked about. It is it is still absurd.
Good hero. Good hero indeed.
Yeah.
Charlie, thoughts on the patch and the meta? Because we often talk about the fact that the meta is almost, it changes within the tournament if it's quite long. We saw that at Epicenter, for instance, and I'm sure we'll see it here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of teams that are still figuring out how they want to play, how they want to draft. As I've watched some of the teams scrim, looked at how they've picked, there are a lot of them that still don't know exactly how they want to play. They're still figuring out how this patch conforms to their own players, how they're going to win playing something that they might not be entirely comfortable with. And I think we're going to see that with this next matchup.
Yeah, one of my favorite things I think about what's happening right now is that at Epicenter in the tournament before that, it was very tank heavy. Armlet was giving you 10 total armor when you turn it on. Yep. Now it's giving you 8, I believe. So there was tons of tanky cores right there. Now it's pushing back away from that. That's not really seen as the thing to do right now. The drafts there's still a lot of pushing heroes like DK and stuff like that, but it's not as one-dimensional as it was there. So we're seeing a lot more spreading out in hero picks and meta right now.
I liked how we kind of commented a bit, like we were all chatting a bit yesterday, and we were saying, in Epicenter, it's like people were like ignoring some heroes too, and we were just like mind blown. It's like, oh, Phoenix has just unpicked this game, Bounty Hunters unpicked this game. So I kind of want to see what heroes that's going to be here. So like I'm really excited to see the first few games and see what kind of things people build up and how they want to like try out new things.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as we go through.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at the groups as well now in a little bit more depth. I want each of you to take a group and pick a team out. We'll start with you, Fogged, with Group A. What stands out for whatever reason? It doesn't have to be necessarily a team that might win or win the whole tournament or anything, but what are you looking forward to in Group A?
For me right now, at least, I'm looking a lot at OG. Of course, they have a lot of momentum coming out because they did pretty well at Epicenter. I think it was, I want to say 4th place, I believe, and then they did, Dream League, they got 1st place. Yep. So that was like really good coming up for them. And as well, Miracle hitting 9,000 MMR, of course. He's the only one. That's a huge momentum boost. And then on top of that, now they have an actual coach. They have 7 King Mad, as we were saying. So that's really interesting. And also, I want to see how it really changes their dynamic, if it really makes a big difference, or if it's just going to be him just improving small things on their strategy that they've been going on. Because we did see them change the way that they were from like the usual OG. They've been kind of like going toward I guess, like a Liquid-esque manner. They're playing a little bit more like Liquid, I would say.
Yeah,
so
whereas in the past we've seen them sort of. I spoke to No Tail 2 days ago, and he basically said if we get to 35 minutes, we've won the game.
Yep.
If we're down at 15 minutes and we can't get to the late game, we're kind of done. We don't really know how to do that after that. So Liquid are almost the antithesis of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving them that way. Purge Group B.
Well, the obvious. Did you mean Group C?
Oh, Group C for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we'll
the,
talk about Group B after, because we're actually doing Group B anyway.
Yeah,
So Group. That's Group C. That's Group B right now, which we're going to do Secret versus Na'Vi, and obviously we'll bring you updates for Wings DC. But pick a team out of Group C for me.
Yeah, the obvious team out of Group C is probably the favorite to win the tournament's Team Liquid, but I'd rather focus on Fnatic, I think. They have the potential to do really well. They have the potential to fall out right away, depending on how team morale goes. It's kind of consistent with the Malaysian team, essentially, like Mushi and Friends, Mushi, Ohio, Net, kind of. Well, Net's not on the team anymore, obviously, but I really think that they have the potential to do very well. They've come off a lot of wins in the C region, obviously not really the best teams. Two of those were 2-0s versus Mineski, but they had a pretty good Epicenter performance. The team they got knocked out by was, I'm thinking about ESL Manila. They got knocked out by Wings 2-1. And it came down to a third game decider, which they were going to win, I thought, but they got counterpicked really well, really smart
very
draft by
close.
Wings.
Yeah.
Very close game. They could have beaten Wings, who ended up winning that tournament. So they've had pretty decent successes. Yeah, they've had some falters. They didn't do well at Epicenter. They lost to No Diggity 2-1, and they lost to Complexity 2-1. But those are pretty respectable teams. Maybe not No Diggity on a major level, but I could see Fnatic doing really well this tournament. It's a possibility. It may not go well due to sometimes their morale going bad, but I would like to see him do well. It may happen, it may not. We'll see.
Okay. Charlie, if you take Group EG, sorry, my bad, Group D, and obviously EG that you pick, that you won't pick. You aren't picking EG. So take Group EG.
Do you want me to talk about EG?
Sorry, my bad. Group D.
You want me to talk about EG?
Yes.
All right, I'll talk about EG.
I didn't expect you to pick anything else, Charlie, in this group. Why would you pick anything else?
Honestly, there are some pretty interesting teams in this group, but all right, Paul. Are
you going to do it? You're going to
yeah, I'll talk about EG.
All right. Spill the beans, Charlie. Spill the beans.
This is a team with, I think they have all the right pieces. They have all the right pieces to make a great team, but their issue is mental. Does Sumail tilt? Does Peter get his head in the game? Does Sam choke? Does Aoi, calm his nerves? This is really just a mental battle for them. How well can they focus up and really get in there? And a lot of people, if you look at their two new additions, a lot of people give Sam a lot of crap for not being Universe, for being kind of a clown, but he really is one of the smartest players in the game. In a lot of ways, he's sort of like the Forrest Gump of Dota. Very talented, but at the same time, in other areas, kind of a moron. And PPD.
I'm so glad he's doing EG right now. None of us are doing EG.
PPD is kind of like his Lieutenant Dan. He's got his his legs cut out from under him when Arteezy and Universe left, and now he's just a bitter, salty old curmudgeon, and he's got to rely on
run, Boba, run.
Yeah, he's got to rely on
Boba,
on Bulba to
what have you
make
done,
him $1 million.
What have you done? Okay, all right. Well, that's the groups anyway. In terms of what we've got to look forward to over the next 2 days, as I said, we're going to focus on Group B. Before we get there, though, I do want to show you something that Knoxville has been working on hard over the last 4 or 5 days. And these are the rankings. These are the power rankings for the Manila Major. The talent that we've had here at Manila have put together their top 16, and then they were averaged over that top 16. And then the community, you guys have voted in your droves. Over 4,500 of you put your top 16 together. 23 of you voted for Mineski as number 1. Not entirely sure what that was about, but it may have been the Mineski staff, so we'll let that one go. But the majority of it is fairly close, I have to say. When you look at it, Liquid number 1, top 4 are exactly the same, albeit in a slightly different order. Next 4 very close. DC slightly higher in the community votes. I'm surprised, actually, because with Slacks voting for number 1, DC number 2, DC number 3, DC number 4, I thought maybe they'd have featured higher in the English talent list, but nevertheless, it's fairly close. I mean, Liquid at the start, Mineski at the bottom. Does that feel, Charlie, about right in terms of both the English talent and the community votes?
I think for the most part it does. I think in the community vote, EG Secret are a little higher than I would have placed them.
Agreed.
Bit of fandom there?
Yeah, I mean, they do have the biggest fan base. I wouldn't put OG as high as they are as well, but, Western fans,
I mean, it's not just bias. I mean, Secret and EG have the highest potential to hit huge heights, and it happens consistently. They can go to a tournament looking bad, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to get top 2. And that's what's happened every major for Secret. They'll go into the tournament, everybody's a little unsure, and all of a sudden they get top 2 every single time. Then they do it again.
Land performance. It's that big land performance.
2 other teams I want to pick out of there. Alliance, very big difference, 4-point difference between the talent putting them much lower than the community putting. Again, comes back to fans potentially. And the other one is actually LGD, which has the biggest variance of any of the teams between the 2 sets of votes. We had them at 9 on average. The community has them at 14. Do you think, Charlie, that's because we've kind of been here for a few days, we've been talking to people,
Absolutely.
We've heard some really good things about LGD in practice. Some even newbie people were telling me, you need to be careful. We're really scared of LGD. And when you hear newbie saying we're actually quite scared of LGD, oh, okay. Well, they must be playing really well then.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just newbie. Almost all the Chinese teams have been saying that about LGD. And credits to the community. They don't get to see it, so that's fair to them.
Mm-hmm.
But here, English Talent, we've talked to a lot of the players here, and in scrims, LGD has apparently been looking really, really good.
And Joanne, indeed. Yeah,
They're like EG and Secret. They're another team that can show up and look bad. And out of all the teams invited, everybody said LGD doesn't deserve to be invited.
Yes.
But if they can have a good performance, then that's all justified. I mean, it's a little weird.
I don't know about justified.
Justified was poor choice of words. You can't just say like, well, we're gonna play well then, so you should invite us anyways. But I think that they're gonna really overperform what they were listed as there. For sure.
Okay, we're going to get into our first game of the day by talking about Na'Vi versus Secret now, and we'll start with Na'Vi. Very interesting for Na'Vi over the last couple of months because they've started to show some form finally, and I know that's a real thrill for their fans. Finally, they can start cheering them again and hoping that they get to a major. They're at the major. They got invited. They've had some very good performances here and there, a little bit hit and miss now and again as well. I think Slack said to me early on he wasn't that impressed with them at Dream League, but nevertheless, they've been playing much better. Look like they've got some cohesive stuff going on. The strategy seems to be much more solid, and they've actually been delivering the results. So, are we expecting more purge from them here?
It's a major, man. Majors are very difficult. You can take, like, if you watch qualifiers, for example, watch regional qualifiers. The team that wins it consistently looks by far the best. Then they go to an actual tournament, and half the time they just completely flop. Sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm going to win the whole thing. But a lot of times teams that look good in regionals or barely get the invite, they can flop a little bit. And Na'Vi has been a team that many teams have been talking about internally since we've been here the last couple of days. And a lot of people are saying that they're not looking amazing, that they're having some trouble in scrims, that they don't really always know what they're doing. So it's a little unsure how they'll perform.
I want to say that it also kind of attributes to, like, they have, like, I don't want to say one style, but they have like one most comfortable style, and I feel like it's kind of easy to read it. They play very heavily around Dendi, and they love like those very early active supports, like the Wisp, the Enchantress, stuff like that. And I feel like teams are going to be able to identify that because they've been able to see it so much lately in the past couple weeks and months.
Let's talk about Dendi as well, Charlie, because I want to pick up on the fact that this is a man who's been around forever, right? He's well known. I think even outside of Dota 2 circles, he's probably one of the most recognizable players on planet Earth in esports. But we haven't really seen him play at the kind of level that we were expecting him to play over the last maybe 2 years now. Is it time to start talking about the twilight years of his career and retirement?
I don't think so. I think he's still a relatively young guy, 25, 26. He doesn't have any, arm or hand problems that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
He can still play. But for him, the focus for him has not been on himself, which everybody would love to see. The focus for him is always on his team. He's always about how do I elevate my teammates? How do I make the team better? Like my own personal accomplishments mean nothing to me. It's really about what we can achieve together as a team. And that's what's great about him. That's what people love about him. But, you talk about that maybe they're back on form here, but they've always sort of had these little flashes where maybe people think, oh, maybe they're back in form, but then a tournament after, they're just back in the dumpster. It's you never really know. And then I talked to Dendi here. I love the guy, but he didn't seem very confident. He told me that maybe we'll snowball in the middle of the tournament. Maybe we'll figure out what we want to do in the middle and learn as we go. And that's not really something you want to hear if you're a Na'Vi fan. You want him to say, we're ready. We know this patch. We know what we want to do. You don't want him to say, oh, we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, that's quite worrying in many respects. Do you feel, Fogg, that maybe we talked about this before, but I think it's really intriguing that we've got this matchup first of the day. But is he missing Puppy? Is he missing that kind of figure in the team?
No, come on, don't be like that. He's got his new captain. He's got his not his old and his new captain.
But even recently, we saw 3 days ago on the plane. They're taking selfies with each other on the plane. We saw what they did at the TI last year during the matches, and you see that kind of camaraderie and that bond that they've got.
For now, but not yesterday.
Well, not today.
Not today. Not yesterday. That's not happening. So, but I'm really interested to see just how it's going to work out because Puppy knows Dendy so well. So I really think that if they listen to Theben, because of course they do have Theben here as their coach here for Secret, if they listen to him and they're able to just identify how Navi plays basically, I think they're going to be able to just kind of dominate them just if they know exactly what they're going to do.
Purge, thoughts?
I mean, it's a small series. If Navi doesn't necessarily know what they're doing going into the match, if they fall upon a style or a streak that happens to fit the meta really well, then it could create something amazing, and they could streak way higher than expectations, because then nobody's going to see it coming, essentially. The meta has been a little straightforward the last month or so, so maybe there is some unpredictability. Plus, comboing that with Navi's playstyle, very aggressive play, tower diving, that kind of stuff, it could give them push them up to a top 8 finish or something like that if they hit a great streak.
Hold on to the predictions for now, because we'll get all of your predictions before we go into the match. But let's talk about Secret, because a team really on paper that you look at and you just go, wow, how do we beat them? I mean, they just have everything about them, right?
Bunch of all-stars.
Bunch of stars in the team. You got Eternal Envy, brilliant, Arteezy, fantastic universe, world class, Puppy, incredible captain, Pylai, probably the best support in the world right now. How does this team not win every title they go to? And yet, actually, they are still struggling, in Puppy's own words, for chemistry.
It's actually so surprising. You started talking about how good they all were, and I looked at that image. I was like, all of those guys are amazing at their positions. Every single one of them, and it's just so bizarre that it hasn't been working out.
Well, if you really go into it, it's actually not that bizarre. It's everybody in Dota has gotten better over the last years. The skill gap in actual talent and mechanical ability has shrunk so much from the very beginning of Dota to now. What's more important now is chemistry, how well you work with your other players, team composition, and it's so much about picks and how you play together. If you look at this team, you've got your 3 cores are actually very farm heavy, very level dependent. You have Arteezy, Envy, Universe. A lot of people see Universe as a space maker, but in the last year and a half on EG, he's been more of a team fight specialist. He doesn't necessarily always create space. Sometimes he creates space on heroes like Clockwork, but that hero it's not really picked in this meta. It's not a thing here. And so the burden late in the games that you've seen is all on Universe to create space for 2 of the greediest cores in the game, and that's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and if you compare that with the team when they won TI, obviously it was Sumail and that's a guy that could get killed 5 times, but still come back and get a bunch of kills by himself and force rotations from the whole enemy team.
I think another thing is too that the comeback of tri-lanes really affects Universe as well, because they put such an emphasis on kind of shutting him down, and if he doesn't really have that, that great start, he's not able to make the space for, like we were saying, for Envy and Artur to actually shine and use their potential.
It's a great point to bring up, actually, because let's take a look at the matchup, because I want to talk about the offlane in particular, and you've already raised Universe, so let's take up a look at the comparison between Universe and General, and Fog, take us through it.
Yeah, well, for this, I don't know, this looks, it makes the Universe look almost better, I feel like, but I think actually General has been putting up some ridiculous numbers. It's just constantly, whenever I see him playing, it's literally he's versus a dual lane or something, and you just see double kill, and you're like, wait, what? How is this guy just getting a double kill? And then you see Universe dying, and you're like, Universe dying? No, Universe doesn't die, guys. That just doesn't happen. So it's really interesting to just see the actual numbers up here, because I think it's kind of skewed. I feel like General actually has been having more of a better performance than Universe in relative senses on their team.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I would expect something better I would expect General to do better in this setting as well. He's been taking a little bit of that star power away from Dendy just because of his performance. He's been playing really well, and I feel like Sahil is still adjusting to his team. He's a guy that hates to be micromanaged. He hates even seeing his teammates be micromanaged by somebody else, telling him how to play. And what's Eternal Envy? He's very
Very micromanaging.
very much a micromanager.
I've heard
Yeah.
that he kind of likes to throw his opinion in there occasionally.
Just a little.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Universe wants to chill and play his own game. When
Yeah.
when somebody's telling you how to play, then you're constantly thinking about whenever you make a decision, you're thinking about, oh, what is this guy gonna say now? So it can be very disruptive.
Charlie, you said
Okay.
earlier on EG's problem is mental.
Mhm.
Is that not the same thing for Secret right now?
In a lot of ways, yeah. They have to figure out how to play with each other in new styles. Arteezy has to. They're trying to move Arteezy away from the farm-intensive heroes mid that he's known for. And I've seen him play Venomancer mid. I've seen him. Other people haven't, but I've seen him play Batrider mid. He's playing things that aren't in his comfort zone, and that takes time to get used to. I mean, can you imagine Arteezy Batrider really?
Oh, I mean,
I can imagine it.
when he was on the
I've
upswing.
seen
It
it.
doesn't look too good. Doesn't
Yeah.
imagine very well, but I can imagine
All right,
it.
but on his pro player upswing, when he went from like this pub star kind of guy to becoming popular, one of the heroes that he's really well known for is a hero like Puck, for example. And that's a hero that creates space, that can farm very heavy while still participating in fights and getting things done. And I think that's what he needs to maybe adjust towards, a team fight space creating hero that can also farm. Just give him a hero with an AoE ability that can create space, and he should be able to at some point adjust his playstyle.
So our tourist should be the space maker is what we're kind of like leaning toward then, huh?
I mean, that's what Secret wants out of him right now.
Yeah.
Originally, when Artur left EG, he had this idea in his head that you can have 3 greedy cores and your two supports should be the ones to make space, but that doesn't always work. If you're always doing that, and teams know that, they can draft around that, and you have to have the right kind of players to be able to do that. I mean, lately you have Puppy in the jungle a lot. He's not always necessarily making space, and then.
Okay. I'm going to have to cut you off there because I think the draft is ready, but I do want to get your predictions very quickly, so let's go down the line. Charlie?
I think this is going to be a really cluttered game with a lot of mistakes, and I think Secret does capitalize that better. So I'm going to pick Secret here.
Okay, Folk?
I'm going to have to agree with Charlie. I think it's very close, probably like 55-45 or so, but I think in the proper scenarios, Secret can clutch it out better.
Purge.
I think Secret has the higher potential highs, and I think that they're going to be able to figure things out more rapidly, especially because of the coach. So I would
Okay.
go with Secret as well.
3 for 3. All going with Secret for the
Yeah,
opening game.
I like that you said that it attributes a lot to the coach, 'cause I think Theban's going to
Yeah.
make a big difference in this
Okay,
matchup.
and we'll talk a lot about coaches actually as we go through the tournament because it's the first time we've really had multiple
rise.
coaches. Yeah, the rise of the coach star as we get into the draft. I'm not sure if it's actually ready yet. I don't know if they can.
No, it looks
they
like
can,
that's the lobby.
Let us in. Yeah, it does look as if they're about to go. So we have potentially a minute or two to talk. I do want to bring up one other thing, which is the compendium votes. Now,
Very bizarre.
just be calm, guys. Okay, I just want you to not lose your stuff right now, and we blow the opening of the show. Compendium votes are in. 27% of compendium votes have gone with OG to win the Manila Major. Maybe not that surprising, perhaps. Calm, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Stay calm. here, okay?
I'm good.
Rip the Band-Aid.
17% of you have gone for Team Secret.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
It's possible.
Fans.
What?
It's possible.
You did well to hold that back, Charlie, I have to tell you.
They won the last major.
They did.
Come on.
They are the defending champions. And 13%
roster.
of you went with Wings. Perhaps not that surprising
Okay,
with
that's
OG and
fine.
Wings. So we had
Those are-
those two in our top 4. But Secret, why?
They show up and they win stuff, or they get top 2 at stuff when they're not expected to. That's what happens. You know, if you just look at the stats, be like, who won the first major? Oh, they got what? They got second place, and who won the major after that? Oh, they got first place. Clearly, Secret's gonna win again, right?
Yeah.
Much different. No, 2 players changed, so much different roster. So,
I think you
but-
could argue that it's a similar case, though. I mean, although they weren't winning much in between the two majors,
You know,
right? And then we had
yeah.
Alliance win a couple of tournaments over Christmas and New Year, and MVP were doing well, and VG were doing well, and then where was Secret? Nowhere, right? And then suddenly they come to the major and they win.
Now, all I want to say is right now is where is Nahaz so we can get him on here to talk about sample size. There's been 2 majors. There's only been 2
Okay.
majors.
Sample size is bad in this case, though, because almost every Dota player buys a compendium. I don't know what the number is. I would guarantee it's minimum
It's
20%.
millions. Yeah, it's millions.
You compare that to a Reddit sample size, which are generally high-level players. It's
Wow, did you just call Reddit players generally high level?
more than
They're
more than
9K MMR. What
Oh,
are you,
yeah,
Paul?
more
yeah.
than the
sorry,
average
yeah.
player who just wants items. Like the average Reddit viewer is going to be more informed on pro teams than
Yep.
the average Dota player. They just
Would agree.
pick somebody randomly in the client. They say, well, might as well pick somebody. Oh, Secret won the first one and they got second. They don't follow the in between. If you take look at the MVP votes in game. If you look at who gets the MVP every game in client, it's like 90% of the time the mid or the carry. Even if the support plays amazing, creates tons of space, if he's like 0-3 and 22, never gets the MVP vote. Ever. And it makes me
0-3
so
and
mad.
22.
Kevin, you have a little.
See what you did there.
You have a little
I see
salt.
what you did there.
You got a little salt
yeah,
on your
I'm a
shoulder.
little support
Just-
bias. It's true.
Just
but
brush it off. Brush it off right now.
If you look at consistently how in-game voters vote, it is way off. And if we looked at what the top 16 was based on the Reddit poll, it wasn't that off from what we were, and we could explain a lot of the ones that were way off. So
So
this is
basically what
way
you're saying
off.
is that the people that purchase compendiums are trash predictors.
Yeah, on average.
On average.
It's all about averages, isn't it?
All right.
I had to
Do you
stipulate
want
that.
do you want an easel? You can write delusional.
No,
at the
no,
bottom.
let's not go there, Charlie.
My handwriting's
Let's not go. I
good.
heard that's
Otherwise I
bad
would've-
form. I've heard that's bad form. Yeah. So what do we think of the others then? OG 27. That's a heavy
okay.
percentage as well, though.
Yeah.
But we all had them. I think all four of us
Well,
had them in their top 4.
The most important thing to say is that Liquid is not on the top 3, and that is
Absolutely.
the most voted
Yeah.
by all talent, English at least, and it's the most voted by Reddit as well, right? Like, if that's not even on the top 3 at all, like, it should be minimum 3rd. They were consistently playing well all tournaments. They were the best team going
They won
into this
Epicenter.
tournament. They
Yeah,
won
won
Epicenter.
Epicenter.
They did lose to Wings at ESL Manila, but it was just a little bit of a fluke. I mean, they get a lot of seconds. That's normal for them, right? Like, so
It's
totally
normal for
standard.
Fada.
Normal for Fazio.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's true. He's
Yeah.
got experience there.
There's also talking of Fada. There's also a very unique thing about this particular major that could end up happening, because if Fada ends up winning this, the Cloud9 dream is alive.
Finally.
Well, the players that played in Cloud9 last year have won the Frankfurt major, the Shanghai major, and potentially the Manila major if Fada wins. Which means
Conrad was the problem.
Sing Sing. Well, it does mean that too.
Poor Connie.
But then Sing Sing wins TI6.
And
Is he-
Bone.
is he
And
the-
Bone
And Bone 7.
And Bone
yeah,
7.
there's still 2 other players even if Fada wins this
Yeah.
one.
So they win TI6. That just carries it on, right? So actually,
Yeah, we'll see.
Jack's sitting there, right, at Cloud9 going, God damn it. I built a world-class team and these guys just left and won everything else.
I guess, and AUI won TI, so
Yeah.
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 Conrad.
Conrad.
So it's Conrad's
It's
fault.
Conrad.
Definitely.
Conrad's
Charlie's
fault.
going with
Definitely.
Conrad's fault.
Conrad's
Fire
Yeah.
Conrad.
Yeah, it's weird how we get those kind of weird that stuff happening, because everyone, like last year when I was working with there was a documentary team who were following Cloud9 around, and they were saying to me, yeah, do you think they can win? And I was like, I don't know. They got
No.
the players, but not really. I wanted to help them, but it was really tough to kind of go, yeah, they've got a chance, but no, not really. And then you see them disappear and go into other teams, and they've all played absolutely brilliantly.
Yep.
So why is that? What explain, Charlie? Because obviously we've got the EG thing from last year. You had 5 incredible guys. You go to TI. You're a TI champion yourself as the manager of that team. And then you watch those players disappear and go other paths. And they're not the same player. Why?
I mean, again, it comes back to what I was talking about earlier. Dota is very much about chemistry now. It's about not only do you have the right pieces, but do those pieces fit together? Like, everybody has gotten better over the last year.
Yes.
Everybody's gotten better over the last 5 years. Sumail, when he first came onto the scene, amazing mid. Won almost all his matchups. Still really good, but he's not having that easy of a time anymore, and sometimes he gets frustrated with it. It's just because people are getting better. Your superstars aren't the superstars of 2-3 years ago. And so it's about chemistry. It's about how do you work together. It's about all those really boring things in traditional sports that people, praise, like hard work, dedication,
Yeah.
teamwork, stuff like that. And you're seeing it really come into esports now.
I think also the changing of the way the game actually is also attributes to that a lot, just because there's been a lot of different changes, the way experience works, the way you get gold, the way gold gets within proximity, how much gold you get with that, the way the map has changed over the past year. It's been absurd. It's all over the place, new ramps, completely different positioning on Roshan. So I think that really does make a big difference on top of the skill level change.
I was actually going to go a different path. I was thinking more around just team fight direction, like drafting, things like that. One of Cloud9's biggest problems during the period where they were just failing was they would get to late game and they would just stagnate, and eventually they'd lose, because if you just consistently farm the game, at some point your opponents are going to initiate on you and you're going to lose. So I feel like they've all spread out. They've got different captains, they have different paths. I feel like the metagame, maybe not the metagame, but the way that you're supposed to play Dota seems more organized. People understand drafting on almost every top team now. They understand where you're supposed to move in on the map. Cores rotate all the time now, and one of the first few teams to do that was maybe at TI with CDC.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like where
aggressive.
they would be like, oh, I just hit 6 on gyro, I'm going to TP to the tier 2 top, I'm going to smoke with the support, and we're going to gank the safe lane. And that's why this try greedy core doesn't work right now, because everybody gets so good that they can predict where the 2 supports are moving to, because those 2 supports always have to be together.
Yep.
But if you get like a space creating off lane, or if you're able to combo cores and random ganks, it's way harder to predict where the ganks are coming from, and you're going to be more successful. And I feel like teams have figured that out better. So even though the teams were very good on Cloud9, they're now under good leadership. Kuro, I think, understands the game at an extremely high level. For example, Safada can succeed and still play that very farm-heavy mid, but there's other people that can organize the games getting closed out. And it's reasons like that are good.
So are you saying that EE and Bone 7 were just bad leaders?
I mean, I have a lot of respect for Eternal Envy as a player, but I think it's safe to say that Puppy is a very successful captain. And I mean, I don't know the full team dynamics, so I'm really just guessing slightly on how, for example, E had did in the past as a captain. But I think Puppy is definitely a more proven captain than E is. Yep. So
He's also that commanding presence. You look at Puppy,
That's
and
true.
he's just standing there. You're like, okay, yep, I'm gonna listen to him. You know, you look at Envy, you're like, what? Why should I listen to you? Come on, man. You know what you're talking about, but it's, you know, you get that feeling, that commanding presence from Puppy for sure.
One guy plays chess and the other watches anime.
What if you watch an anime about chess? Does that give you the same thing? I don't know if that exists or not.
I don't know either.
It probably
That's
does
totally
exist. It
next,
definitely
that's
exists.
next level anime as far as I'm aware. I don't know how you. What sort of shows do you watch, Purge?
I don't watch anime, but
Right.
maybe there's something to be said about captains that are very straightforward, reserved, and peaceful. And based on watching Eternal Envy streams, I imagine that he would let emotions affect his in-game calls sometimes. Whereas if you take a person like Kuro or maybe Puppy, they're just straightforward, very calm. They make perhaps less like decision mistakes as a captain. Is that possible?
That's a really good point. Like, I guess, like, Envy gets very emotional. You can hear his emotion in his voice. He's just like super hectic. He's like, we gotta do this, 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 we gotta go there, go to that, do that, do this. And it's just like, it gets like a little bit overwhelmed. You're like, dude, chill.
What do you prefer? You've played in a number of teams. Well, you must have experienced a whole wide range of different styles of captain.
More so like, it's good to have somebody who can just like yell at you. It's always great to have that, like someone who's just like, what are you doing?
You actually
Like,
prefer that? When
not-
someone's actually on your back and like be giving you grief?
not all the time, but someone who
Yeah.
can. It's not afraid to do it. It's
Okay.
not like, oh, oh, that was
I'm
that
gonna
was a bad
upset
play, but
him.
don't do it again. But it's okay. Just no. Someone who's just like, that can't happen.
That's
Don't
straight
let that
out of
happen.
the Charlie School of Management, though.
No. Is it?
I love yelling at people. Remember when I yelled at you?
No. I wasn't.
I can remind you.
You yelled at me a few times.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
That was
They're
like
talking
2012,
Yeah, I don't know,
like 4 years.
2013.
I don't
yeah,
even
those
remember
were
that
those
anymore.
were some dark days.
Yeah,
Were they?
2012, 2013.
Yeah, those were some
anyway.
dark days.
Folks suddenly like, yeah, this is
let's
that
move
kind
on.
of awkward.
Let's move on.
Yeah. We should mention the fact that for those that don't remember, of course, you were playing with Evil Geniuses back in the day.
For like 3 months.
3 months.
That was-
Yeah.
But
Those are really dark times.
Were
but
they?
Dignitas was longer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When you guys
So
were on
when
Pot and
I
Bottom.
managed Fogged, it was when he was on Dignitas
Yeah.
and Pot and
Yeah.
Bottom.
Yeah. Pot and bottom was good days. Dignitas.
Yeah, those were good days. Tides of Time, good old Tides of Time.
Yeah.
Pro
well,
Hearthstone.
it's also cool, like looking at that too, because you see how players have kind of like progressed and changed. Like looking at Curtis AUI, you see like how much he's changed a lot. Like he was playing carry, then he transitioned to support, and now he's back to carry. And I think that you can see it in his playstyle. He's improved a lot in the carry role from back then. Of course, the game has changed a lot, and of course, different players and blah blah blah. But still, it's really cool to see the progression of how it goes through the years.
Yeah, I agree. Back then, AUI was all about hitting creeps.
Yeah.
And now he's very much internalized the idea of, all right, I have to fight. I have to use my farm to make an impact on the game.
Yep.
I want to contribute. And that's something he's still adjusting to, but it's something that he recognizes now. Before, back on Dignitas and even on like old DG, when he played that very hard farming support position, he didn't understand that idea as much, and now he's really taking it to heart.
He pressured in like a different manner, like
Right.
in that when he was the support, he always was just there, just pushing out the lanes constantly, and now he seems to be more wanting to like get into the fighting and make plays happen rather than just like causing that pressure to happen in that other manner, pushing lanes out, etc.
Just while we've got a couple of minutes before this draft, I can see that they're almost there in terms of getting all the players back in. So I also want to talk about this rankings in a little bit more depth. It gives us a chance to talk about that. Just would you three reveal who you had as your top team?
Clearly, we all said
I
Liquid.
think
Was
we
it
right?
all
all said
Liquid?
Liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said Liquid.
Yeah, and the top four, was it all exactly the same as it was?
I had a slightly different order.
With
but
OG,
Yeah.
Newbie,
OG,
Wings?
Wings, Newbie, and
I think I had
Liquid.
Newbie, and then OG Wings.
Right.
I had
Or-
I
Liquid.
think I had
Oh no, I
Almost
had
that.
MVP up there.
top four.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
you did. You
In
did.
top
Yeah,
four?
Okay.
I had MVP in
Why?
top 4
What made you pick them? Because that's quite an out there prediction.
because they're really good, man. Like there are very
Some deep analysis from
They're
Charlie.
They're really good.
relax. There are very few teams where I watch them and I say, "Wow, you won because you outplayed your opponent." There are
Okay.
so many games where I watch where it's like, you won because the other team was just flat out worse. They made more mistakes, they choked, they missed spells, they made poor decisions. When I watch MVP win, it's like, all right, you earned that victory. You outplayed them. Like, I see the skill level, I see the coordination in their team fights. They're just like they're running in on really low HP, but but they stay around to get off that extra spell. Like I'll give you an example between like conservative players like PPD versus the very get in your face support players on MVP. Let's say Peter has like 10% HP left, enough mana for one spell, and he manages to disengage himself from a fight. He's going to run back to the fountain, cut his losses. Febby, for example, no, he's going to hang out on the outskirts of the fight, and he's going to look for that opportunity to get off one more spell.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. They play. My favorite thing about them is they play super fast. They play like they're
Yes.
sponsored by an energy drink, which they are. Like they're constantly moving from one lane, and as soon as it's over, they smoke and they go somewhere else. Like they play really, really fast.
And I feel like they kind of set that tempo. I don't know if it was. I think like TI. It was. They were kind of like the ones who brought it with CDEC. It was just like, oh my God, where's this team? It's like this mid game is absurd. It was just like they're just running at you and they don't have downtime. It's like you look at other teams and you look at their jungle and it's like, oh, one guy's farming the big camp, another guy's farming the medium camp. MVP, the jungle is empty for 20 minutes and you just see them running at the enemy jungle, constantly pressuring instead of just playing that like greedy farming type of thing. They just want to play pressure Dota constantly.
And they have the individual skill to back it up. I remember at the very beginning of when they first started, a lot of these guys were awful. I remember Febby back in Dota 1 when he was playing in NA Dota. Everybody made fun of him. Like, nobody wanted to play with him. And he has, like, grinded his way to where he is now. Like, SEA has typically been, like, one of the worst regions just because people, like, change players all the time. There's a lot of instability. And then MVP are like aliens that crash landed into SEA, and they crash landed on an island called hard work and dedication. And there's a rumor that Jimmy Demon Ho was once on a pilgrimage to that island, except he crash landed on an island called the Gym, and he's been living off energy drinks and protein bars ever since.
I mean, MVP has really grinded. Like when we first got to Korea, for example, these guys were all the ones that are on their current team were basically spread across like 10 Korean teams. And then they just slowly over time, they kept taking the good players, and all of a sudden they make two teams, both got to TI. Maybe Hot 6 didn't go so well, but and then those two teams died, and then they took the last 5 and they put them together. They've been taking all the best teams that exist in the Korean scene, and maybe they've been learning Dota in NA, for example, or in Australia, but they've taken all of the talented parts of them, and they've gotten rid of the throwy stuff. Kyo used to throw all the time when we first got to Korea. We're like, oh, we're not worried about Kyo. He's really good, but he's always going to mess up one time really bad. He'll blink into 5 heroes late game, and we'll win, But he doesn't do that anymore consistently. All of their players are like that. Feb used to do very questionable things like only getting 1 point in his ultimate, where they've lost
like
games
the
because of that.
The big one that we always remember.
All that stuff, it doesn't happen anymore. They're very, very high level. They play very well. Even who's their captain, Dubu. When we first got to Korea, he'd only been playing Dota for like 1 year. and that was like 2 years ago. So he's only been playing Dota for like 3 years, but he does everything so fast.
They have like almost 8,000 average MMR, so you can
Yeah.
tell, they, like you were saying, hard work and dedication. Those guys
All 5
really do.
super high
we
level.
have a lot of new viewers watching
Yeah.
who may have tuned in for the first time even.
Yeah.
And they'll often be familiar with other esports like StarCraft and League of Legends, and they'll be thinking, well, hold on a minute, you're talking about these Koreans like they've never won anything. And actually, until this year, they actually hadn't won anything. So this is a new phenomenon for us in Dota in terms of like the Koreans are coming and we need to be careful. But how far can they go in this year? Because some people said last year at TI it won't be long before they win one.
Yeah, I mean, they could. The hard part is that their players are limited. I mean, I was there for a year. The problem is that everybody plays League there, and they don't really want to bother learning Dota. So their available player base is very limited, and that is why they don't have tons and tons of teams. But you can see it by how much they grew. They worked extremely hard. They all lived in this house for like 2 years, basically. Yeah. It only had like 1 bathroom for 16 dudes. That can't be fun, but they grind every day. And now they're winning games because they're all talented and they all work so hard. So I don't really see Korean domination ever happening, but there are going to be times where MVP hot streaks. And that is why I think we all rated him high. I talked to QO yesterday. He didn't sound very confident, but even with him saying he's not very confident, a tournament will happen and MVP is just going to show up and blow everybody out of the water. And it'll be like, wow, MVP's on a hot streak right now. And they can do that. And they can just win a whole tournament because of that stuff.
Okay, well, we're still not into the draft just yet, so we'll continue talking about the different teams that have got a chance here. The biggest one, of course, is Team Liquid, and we haven't really spoken about them, despite the fact that we saw them number 1 on both the community and the analyst rankings. All of you had Liquid as number 1 as well. So explain to the viewers that have tuned in, why are Liquid such hot favourites, Fold?
It's kind of like just like the way we were talking about how MVP was playing, that pressure Dota, that constant like in your face. They aren't this team which is, they're not like Liquid, of course, they go for kills and stuff, but they secure their safe lane, so they guarantee Matu his game, and then they play this, I guess, not pressure by killing people, like I was saying, but this objective manner gaming. They've been picking a lot of like Lycan, Lone Druid, stuff like that, building hitters, and they constantly want to be able to, like, as soon as they win a fight, they go and they take an objective without any hesitation. So I think that's a big thing that really works for them, and I want to see if they stick with that or if they want to like go outside the box a little bit and see if they maybe prep a couple extra strategies so people aren't just like, oh, we know how Liquid plays now because we've been seeing them for a bit.
They're definitely going to go out of the box a little.
Exactly.
They spoken to some of them. They're going to use, don't be surprised, I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't win the tournament. They're going to do well, but they aren't looking at this one as the tournament to win. They're looking at TI6 as the tournament to win.
Is that not the same for a lot of the teams here?
No, definitely not. Liquid is established. They've established a good system, a way to play, good interactions with each other. Other teams are still figuring that out. Other teams are still establishing that chemistry, and they need this tournament to give them momentum.
So, Charlie, do you think this might be what we've dubbed it the puppy problem from last year, where Secret were dominating, winning every tournament, went into TI5 as the hottest favourites we'd seen probably since Alliance did it 2 years before them, and then faltered because everyone knew exactly how they were going to play? Is that what all the teams want to avoid now, particularly Liquid?
Not necessarily. I think the Secret issue, like dominating all those tournaments and then coming into TI, like the reason that they failed was not because everybody looked at them and knew how they were going to play or anything. It was just because of a lot of internal issues. They actually didn't scrim very much, if at all, coming into TI6. Their boot camp was pretty lackluster. They didn't get very much time in playing at all, and they had S4 had a really difficult time drafting for that team near the end. So that's sort of a separate issue. I think Liquid is just they just want to be able to be as complete of a team as possible. Kuroki is a perfectionist. He is not happy until they might win a scrim and it might be really easy, but unless it went as he expected, like perfectly, he's not going to be happy with it. I think that's what makes him a great captain, makes him a great player. But we'll see how that works, because that can be taxing on the rest of your teammates.
Yeah. Instead of bringing one coach, he brought 2 as well. So he really wants to be perfect.
Yeah, they've got Blitz. He's been on there for 3 or 4 tournaments now. They brought in Heen as well to micromanage other stuff as well. I just see them as a team that has that full drive, and that's something that plagued EG and both Secret. Win tournaments, have very talented players that say, yeah, we're better than everybody else. We got this. But Liquid, they have a lot of players that are fairly new. Mind Control, for example, a year ago, nobody even knew who he was. He was literally a ladder player against other top players. And all of a sudden, he gets on Liquid, and now they're winning tournaments all the time. It's the same for Jarex. He came from MVP Hot 6. He kind of had a big upstart the last year or so. And same with the other players. Matumba Man was on a Finnish 5-stack. Leading into TI, I believe that was, or maybe Frankfurt Major. Yeah, he was on 4ASC. Yeah. A lot of these guys are coming from random places, and then you're being captained by a guy who hasn't won a TI yet, but was so close. Got second place at TI3, had trouble on some of the other teams that he was on, but he's been that close to victory. He's real serious about winning, like you said, a perfectionist. That's all of the elements that you need to be ultra try-hard and to say, we're going to get minimum top 3 at every tournament, and we're going to win TI. Yeah, they've got everything they want.
They are incredibly hungry, hungry. And the key for them is really balancing. It's a balancing act on that razor's edge of being incredibly focused, incredibly try hard, and not burning yourself out.
Yep.
And they've got it, I think, honestly. With 2 coaches especially, I'm not just saying, wow, they've got more coaches, they're going to win, but they've got 2 people that can
10 coaches. 10 coaches, let's go.
That's the end of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Team Liquid are the champions. That's
whoever's got more
go
coaches.
home now, right?
Look, highest chances of winning, not necessarily going to win. Things can always happen.
I'd still take the field, and I will say that while it's a very common phrase in this scene is that winning solves everything, but at the same time, winning also hides a lot of things. If you constantly win, you sometimes have a tendency to ignore problems.
Well, yeah, look at Secret. They won the last major, and then they changed.
Right. Same
wholesale change.
Same with EG. We kept on winning tournaments, and it's sort of obfuscated a lot of the issues that people have because they didn't bring it up because, hey, we won.
We've been winning, yeah. And when you win, you don't really always just look. You don't want to always just you don't look at those replays all the time. You win and you're like, we did really well. We don't need to take a look at what we made mistakes on. But sometimes that can be extremely important. It can be extremely detrimental if you don't, because then it's
you don't get the same impression that Kuroki is doing that.
Yeah,
he will look at those.
He will look at every single replay.
Back at them
the real test for them will be when they start really losing a lot.
Yeah.
That's you don't measure a team by their achievements. So much of it is how they deal with adversity. How they deal with losing over and over again.
Okay, let's pick out one of the more random teams that were a bit further down the list on both rankings. Complexity. I know you've been quite vocal to me, Charlie, privately. I don't know how vocal you want to be right now, but
no, I'm not going to be kind.
Okay, all right. Let me just put this to you,
all right,
because I get the impression you think it's time to start looking at Complexity in a different light. A lot of people like me, I've been very vocal about the fact that I've loved watching them. I thought they were great at TI last year. I thought they overachieved last year. They've then put a different team together. They've been solid for 8 months now. They've had the same chemistry. Obviously got great chemistry in that team. Seem to have pulled off some remarkable wins against teams that they never did. Beat EG at Epicenter for the first time as well. On the rise. Maybe one of the outsiders to win TI. But I get the feeling you feel like maybe we're overrating them.
There's a reason everybody ranked them pretty low. It's because you don't get that impression that they're that good. Look, credits to them. I think they're incredibly hardworking. Z-Freak is an amazing player.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
I'm about to be really harsh on them, but I don't want to underscore the fact that their dedication to the game is really something to be praised. But at the same time, a lot of people have been, I would say, overrating them as a really good team. And look, Complexity plays within this range. They're consistently going to play within this range every single tournament. Other teams play probably around this range. Their variance is much greater, and the rise of Complexity, what you've seen is that they've been placing higher and higher at every single tournament in the last 6 months. But if you actually look at those wins, they've been beating teams that have played in the bottom of their range. They beat ROTK in a best of one at Shanghai. I mean, that guy hasn't been, Swindle said himself, that guy hasn't been good in a long time. They beat VP and EG at Epicenter, both teams at that tournament, a shadow of their former glory. They've beaten teams that haven't been good. And what I want to see out of them is for them to beat a team that is playing at the peak. And so, I think their results, it makes them look better than they actually are.
Yeah, I actually like that point a lot. I was going to say that I think they're underrated a little because, I mean, if you looked at the 1 to 16, most people were putting them around 10. I think they're more of like middle of the pack for the whole tournament. But you're right. A lot of the teams they're beating are teams everybody expected to do well that have been underperforming, and not just against complexity.
A thing I also like is that some teams, it's not all just about the team. You know, sometimes it's like, you know, this one player has like this spectacular game and it's just like, wow, you know, he just crushed it, you know, and other teams like the same thing, like maybe two players did. But complexity overall, like sure, maybe one player has like, you know, he has most of the kills, but for the most part, it's this team influence game. You see them, it's this constant thing that they've done. Even since TI with the other roster that they had, it was, okay, 10 minutes around, they get like a kill or two, and you see them all converge like onto like, if they take like a tier 1 top tower, they all converge onto that mid tower, and it's that constant team fight, and then they all just like kind of stick together and play very, very sound with each other.
Yeah.
We shouldn't underestimate the fact that they've only actually been playing, many of these players, for less than a year in Dota 2. I mean, they've played professionally elsewhere, but a year and
Yes,
less than that as
Swindle
a team.
reminds me of that at every single LAN.
He's like, oh, I'm new. Just wait. I'm going to win TI every time. Yeah.
Yeah, and
very
yesterday,
arrogant.
Charlie, you said to Swindle's...
Oh, yes, we were playing Werewolf, and you told me to say something stupid, and so I said, Complexity is going to win this
If
tournament.
I ask you to take a long walk off a short period, is that what you're going to do?
Well,
I want to
play
Are
the
you
game.
just going to do whatever I say? Is this Simon Says all of a sudden? I thought you were your own man, Charlie. Come on.
Well, you are a very handsome man, Paul. It's hard to it's
Don't
hard to
suck up
resist,
now,
yeah.
Charlie. That's
I mean-
not how this thing works, and you know it.
Did you tell him to be giving like baby steps to him flaming complexity there? Because you did that. That was like the nicest I've ever
It was
heard you
the
flame
nicest,
somebody
wasn't
in
it?
my whole life.
Yeah.
That was the nicest you've ever flamed somebody.
It was. It was really nice.
Your suit's too big, and you look like garbage.
I mean, I wasn't asking for a personal attack just because I said you weren't being mean enough. You could have flamed like, I don't know, many other things. There's a whole other like 14 teams you could have talked about just there.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, all right.
We-
We'll save it for now.
day is
Save
young.
it for now. Unfortunately, we do have a few issues, unfortunately, that Secret are trying to sort out with the administration team here. So we are going to take a very quick break, but when we come back, we will have our first game of the day in Group B. Don't go too far away. It's Secret versus Na'Vi next. Okay, we are back. Apologies for the delay. The issues have been fixed for both Secret and Na'Vi now, so we can get you straight into the draft. There have already been a couple of bans as well. Charlie, Purge, and Fogged are going to take us through it. And yeah, we've already seen 3 bans so far, and not really that unexpected.
The one weird one is Beastmaster isn't there, so this could be one of the rare games where the hero gets through. It's barely nerfed in the last patch, got a slight damage reduction at level 1, so he's going to jungle really fast if he gets through the draft here.
Yeah.
There still is one ban left.
Yeah, there's the ban. I think Secret was probably deciding in between like the Enchantress and the Beastmaster because of like art style, of course, having, you know, that's probably one of his greater staple heroes at the moment. But I think, yeah, you probably want to just ban the Beastmaster. But that does leave Sunray, which it's picked right away.
Oh, damn, you got it. It's like you
God.
Whoa,
did your
God,
homework.
guys,
Wow. Well, protect some.
I was going to say I could have chosen that first, but I don't want to take anything away from Fogged at this early stage.
Oh, you got it, dude. Don't worry.
Hopefully we can show you this on the screen as well. I understand that you can't see the draft right now, but hopefully then I'll get fixed in a moment. There we go. So Phoenix first pick.
Yeah, pretty appropriate. I think it's the only ban that I think that's like the weird one is the Earth Spirit.
Really?
Yeah. Do you think that's like? Do you think that like Secret would have like really likes it right now at the moment?
I mean, I just see a lot of value in Earth Spirit. He's good at roaming, obviously
Yeah,
worse than
but do
used
you
to be,
think
but
Secret picks it?
Yes, that's kind of what I was getting.
I mean, I guess it'd have to be Pile I Die, right? It limits
No,
his
I
hero
think
picks.
it's a puppy hero.
Puppy plays that hero.
Well, he plays the 4 position. I don't think he plays the
I don't
hero.
think he
I don't
plays
think
Earth Spirit.
either of them play the hero. But if somebody's
which
going
is
to
why
play
it's
it,
a slightly odd ban.
yeah, I think it is odd.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways, they rotate their 4 and 5 very often, though. Puppy will some games play Dazzle, for example. Other games they'll play the jungler.
Yeah, it depends on what they have. If they have a jungler, if they do, Puppy's going to play it. If not, then he takes the more greedy 4 position.
That's exactly what I was
going
gonna
to
say, too.
Doom or
Exactly.
4 position Beastmaster or something like that.
The last time they actually had it was exactly what you were talking about. Is Puppy was playing Chen and Pi was playing the Earth Spirit like a couple months ago. But
I mean,
I do think it's a weird ban.
yeah.
It's a good Phoenix counter too. So if they anticipate those first 4 bans, which are not that unusual, then you can stop the Sunray with a Rock Smash. You can silence it. It's actually a really nice counter for that. So if you do pick Phoenix and you counter the Sunray and he's pre-6, the hero's awful, does nothing then.
Yep.
If you just stop that channeling.
Happy to see the Mirana pick here.
Why?
I play a lot of Mirana.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
I just think there's a lot of Mirana haters right now due to the overpopularity of her getting picked in the qualifiers area and a little bit of epicenter. So almost every top team was picking her, going like Midas Eggs. She completely fell off in comparison to her pick right then, but she may make a comeback. And if you're playing her as a support, she's an okay solution to Enchantress, similar to what Crystal Maiden does, because you can just kill the neutral. So it really mitigates what Enchantress does in the early game a bit.
Really interesting how, though, like, you see Secret, they actually, I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's a respect, but I would say that it is, because I don't think Enchantress is, like, one of their, like, most prominent heroes, but art style, of course, like I was saying, he plays it all the time. So I think that that's kind of like a deny and attributing to Puppy's Enchantress. But then going to the Mirana for Na'Vi, I'm kind of like weird that they picked it because they didn't have the greatest success at Dream League with it. I'm pretty sure they lost, I think they played it 4 or 5 times and they lost 2 or 3 of those. So a little bit interesting, but like you were saying, it is probably particular just for the Enchantress.
Well, to be fair, they haven't been having a lot of success lately with a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Especially here, at the event in their scrims. Not a lot of success with a lot of things. I think they're trying to, throw something at the board and see what sticks. Mirana is a very flex pick. You can run it support, you can run it mid, even, in a lot of different lanes. And it is, like you said, great against the Enchantress.
Yes.
But this is the time to do it as well. First game of the group, you've still got a couple of lives left, and even if you lose all your group games, you're still in the tournament, albeit in the lower bracket. So if you're gonna mess around with something, now's the time, right?
Yeah, now is the time. But this match is really important. I don't think either of these teams are going to beat the loser or the winner of the other side in what is that? DC versus Wings.
Yeah.
So and then you go to the lower bracket. You're playing best of ones. This match is really important.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think DC Wings comes out of this group then, top 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about the Jug first two, by the way?
I mean, it gives them a potential push scare, so their opponent team might be like, oh god, Secret's pushing, and then they could completely pivot. That's one really good thing about it. And just generally, Juggernaut is not a bad hero. He's good against some of the top picks, like Lifestealer right now, for example, can be countered with Omni Slash. He's got really high physical DPS. He can do farm heavy, he can push, he can go fast Manta style if they have silences. It's a carry that can just go so many different ways, and he's pretty good against everything.
So I feel here Secret probably, I think they're probably going to pick Pi's hero, because now it seems like Actually, no. Okay, so they banned the CM and the Wisp. So they banned two of Pai's most prominent heroes, because I'm pretty sure he plays Wisp, CM, and Lion
Well,
almost
Lion
exclusively.
is still
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
saying
pool.
like those three exclusively are his like big heroes though. But
And Puppy often likes to leave EE and Arteezy until last.
yeah. I also was
doing
going
that an awful lot at Epicenter as well.
I was going to say as well that the Juggernaut is really interesting versus the Phoenix. Of course, because spin, you can't take damage in the Sunray, but also you can spin and you can hit the egg while you're spinning, so you can't even get your attack speed slowed during that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a really cool approach amongst the healing ward as well, which you were mentioning.
Yeah, or you can remove it, the minus attack speed.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
also one of those heroes that sort of solves a lot of the issues for Secret. It is a very active hero early, so, you know, like we said, Secret has really greedy cores, but Juggernaut can fight early. It's not like a Spectre or something like that. You can create some sort of space with it, and I've seen both EE and Arteezy play it. In a scrim, Artur has sent it mid.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Navi.
travel Radiance, or
No, I think he went phase boots into Diffusal or something.
okay, so actually standard. All right, that makes
So yeah, we do see the Lion coming out as we definitely expected, and Navi seems to be really heavily applying pressure on just like the Enchantress with that Witch Doctor pick. I see Void.
Yeah, that's I like the Witch Doctor, Void, Mirana. Those three heroes can integrate so well separately, basically, except for the maybe Witch Doctor and Mirana together are a bit hard to execute, but they can put Mirana with Void, they can put Witch Doctor with Void, and they can get a lot done. If that's the carry, for example, I could see them getting a lot done here.
And then mid game, Sunray Void, Sunray Chrono boys.
Chrono is pretty good.
Oh,
yes.
man.
With
But-
the Witch Doctor ult.
With a Witch Doctor ult
yeah,
on top.
But if Secret initiates first in fights, the fights are over, as far as I'm concerned. Assuming there isn't like a Chronosphere to follow it up. If they initiate on Void, for example, with like Slardar initiation to Enchantress right clicks or Lion Finger of Death, like they have so many different ways to set up ganks. It's just going to be Enchantress moves to different lanes and they execute a perfect gank with whatever heroes they have. So I feel like Secret has tons of gank options here. Navi has some, but they're very limited around Chronosphere cooldown right now, and maybe Phoenix
Getting
Egg.
a good arrow or something.
Yeah, or an arrow, but that's super unreliable.
Cool, very interesting too that Navi picked the Void into the Lion. Usually you kind of see Lion as one of the better heroes versus it, but they do have, you know, the Juggernaut, which is, you know, not really like the, it's just a bit of damage over time until he gets his Omni Slash. So pretty interesting to see that coming out.
I guess they did need a little bit more lockdown with the first three picks. Slardar and Enchant Jug are very limited pre-Blink Dagger on Slardar, so they might have some trouble starting fights, or at least managing deaths or limiting deaths if Navi does go in first. Lion helps a lot in that way.
I mean, what else were you going to pick for Pylai Die?
I mean, he could play a lot of heroes very good, but Lion is probably
I mean, Lion,
his best one.
Lion's in the
arguably.
pool, guys.
Yes.
It's like Lion, Dazzle, CM, and Wisp. Those are his,
Yeah.
like, that's the four I've seen him play, like, pretty much that's it for the past 6 months.
Yeah, so if they would have been able to get CM there, they could have maybe even done a Mirana core, but now they're kind of limited to Mirana support here, I feel.
I like the Clean Up Pain ban from Secret. We do see, you know, Dendy's been playing it pretty much, not exclusively, but it's probably one of his most picks, and now
Should be the... Oh, could be a general bat or could be a...
Yeah, I guess, because
Could be a lot of things. Navi's draft is still very
this,
open.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be the short lane Void, Bat Rider off lane in the Mirana mid.
Mid.
Yeah, that's something that they did. I think a Dream League, I want to say, and I personally think that General is one of the better Bat Riders in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
So if it's Slardar offlane from Secret here, that's going to give the supports a lot of space here for Navi. They can kind of go wherever they want, so I kind of like Navi's draft a bit, but...
Artur Invoke. Oh, no, I'm wrong. So it's Mirana on General, and it's a Dendy Bat mid.
It's an aggro?
This looks
They
to
can
be...
aggro this.
It looks like
to
it might be an aggro.
They can aggro this with a Potom Arrow, because they can just shut down the creeps right away.
Yeah, and
that-
Void-
Or
that's
just
a really
steal
good-
them.
That
Just-
is a really good point.
Just snipe the large camp right off the bat, start the lane off with some gold. It's basically like blocking and while giving you gold. I think an aggro here is a good option, especially because they're worried about Secret being better players in the late game. Like, just aggro try. It's
Alright.
a little bit more common.
Very quickly, because we need to go over to our commentary team. Charlie, which team had a better draft?
I actually like Navi's draft better.
Okay.
I like Navi's draft better because
Okay.
of Phoenix.
Sunray picker right
Sunray
there.
right here.
I like Navi's better, but if Secret goes about even or laning advantage and gets a fast blink on Slardar, I think they're going to do way more mid game.
All
Okay,
right.
it's very interesting. Sort of split decision here on the panel, as we've come to expect when we've got panels these days. Plenty going on. They've picked Secret for the match, but they like the look of Navi's draft. Let's find out from our commentators what they think of our first opening draft of the day. It's over to OD Pixel and Gods.
Thank you very much, Paul. Indeed, myself and Gods ready to take you through the first game, the first series on this mainstream here at the Dota Major here in Manila. Secret versus Na'Vi. What a way to start the tournament here on the mainstream. The heroes are already picked up, and look at this, coming into this.
Versus Team Secret.
Whoa! My vertigo.
Who will be victorious?
I don't know, Gods. Who will be victorious? I mean, we are prepared for battle here, that is to certainly say, for sure. And here we have it. Gods, just talk to me about the draws. Anything that you want to pick out from both of these sides that you're interested to see this match?
When I saw the draft shaping up, it looked like Na'Vi were going to be very reliant on the Chronosphere with their initial 4 picks, but with the last pick, Batrider, it gives them 2 forms to teamfight initiate. You can initiate with the Batrider, get a quick pick, turn it into a 5v4, but then you've also got the big teamfight wombo combo with the Chronosphere into Sunray. It sets up the arrow, the Death Ward, so Na'Vi, I think they made their draft a lot more well-rounded with the last pick. For Secret, it's all about kind of avoiding those really terrible team fights, letting the Invoker go into the late game and using the Slatter's Blink Dagger timing to great effect.
And look at this here, we've got the viewpoint on both of the runes. We will see, indeed, both of the mids are respectively going to be able to grab those as we get ourselves in. I mean, this is going to be interesting to see. Look, Dendi versus Artur in the mid lane, Invoker versus the Batrider. How's this going to go for these two heroes?
It's one hero who's looking to farm in the Invoker, the other hero who's looking to play fast tempo for the Batrider. Invoker's much more that late game hero that wants to just scale, get his items up, don't really come to fights too much, throw Sunstrikes to help your teams out, and that's something where Dendi's going to really look to apply pressure. We can already see it here. TZ knocking the best block up is going to be under a lot of pressure.
And look at this. I mean, Seneca already giving it some against Puppey. General's come across as well. He does have an arrow. He's going to try for it, but Puppey, he'll head down to the south and juke that one off. But yeah, General coming away from his lane there for a little bit of early action, and it doesn't look like it's finished yet. You can see at the moment, coming forward, they've got the Hex onto Seneko, Pylai die, forcing him back away from the side of Secret. And looks like it will just be that as Na'Vi back off. But already a lot of attention and aggression around this mid lane.
Yeah, just a casual 3v3 mid lane, both supports from both teams hovering around. This is something Na'Vi always have a bit of a tendency to do, which is prioritize Dendi's early game because he's such a playmaker for the team. Secret, though, looking to poke back and keep Dendi away from this tower.
At the moment, Dendi certainly has been getting away with a fair bit here. 4-4-1-3 for Zero Artur.
And you can even see like his item build going for a Null Talisman as his first starting item, not something you normally see on the mid-bat. Normally, you'd more likely see a Boots Rush, just get some branches and Tangos, get Rush a bottle, but a Null first item, a very different approach to playing the mid-bat.
And as we can see in the bottom lane that we've not really talked about, meanwhile, it's pretty much quite a nice lane here, of course, for the man on the Void, Ditra. He should be getting a lot of space with the help of the Witch Doctor against the Slardars. And we can see that in the CS, 7 for 2. Up to the top, though. Envy's the one coming out on top on his Juggernaut, 9 for 5. General's up here trying to contest the farm, trying to get what he can as Mirana. It feels like it should be a bit of a free switch lane.
That's where Na'Vi first stage picking a Mirana is just so versatile because 4 players actually play it on their team. Running it in the offlane for General, he's completely comfortable in this hero.
Absolutely. I think if we go back to one of the interviews I remember having with him on Dream League, he was asked which hero would he want to be known for playing, and he said Mirana. It's one of the heroes, it's the one he enjoys playing the most and feels he's got a lot of potential on. So definitely worth keeping your eyes out for General's Mirana to play this game. Pi. Now this is one of those runes that certainly can make stuff happen. He's picked up an Invis, he's heading towards the top. Fortunately for General, at the moment backed out of the lane and low mana, not even enough for Elite. We're unlikely to see him head back up there, so General will play it safe, just back up and clear up some of this side camp.
I think this is the kind of slow-paced, more passive laning stage which Team Secret are quite happy with. Something that Charlie talked about in the panel is that they've got 3 cores who all generally want their levels, want their farms. Universe prioritizes team fighting and needs levels and farm to be effective, and that's kind of what he's getting. He's got 8 CS, but as an offlaner, hitting level 4 at this time, getting some CS here and there, this is kind of like a dream start for a Universe offlane.
As we can see, just the moment, Kuro coming in, Snake are going to pick up some more. It's always worth keeping tabs on as it comes down towards the mid, just in case there'll be potential of a snipe, but at the moment it is just Artur again back on his own.
Yeah, he's been bullied a bit in this mid lane.
Yeah, you can see that Bat having the slight edge at the moment. Dendi, 14 for 3 against the 9 for 4. But as you said, this is a classic way that Na'Vi like to play. You know, they always have Dendi +1 in the mid lane. And I mean, it works out. We've seen in a lot of the games recently, and a lot down to recent success from Na'Vi, is because Dendi does get this good start, and especially on these playmaking heroes like the Bat, it allows him to keep control of the game and keep a good tempo going through to the mid game.
Yep. the early bottle crow happening. He's going to just keep on spamming in this mid lane. Arteezy, and he doesn't even care about giving Arteezy 17 one charges. He's not looking for a kill right now. If they ever go for a kill, it's going to be such that the actual one charges don't matter. They're going to bring in a third hero if they have to.
Yeah. Rune Cam at the moment, Puppy securing the bounty top. There is an arcane bottom. Looks like it will be picked up by Universe as he comes in on the startup. We'll see. Unlikely he's going to necessarily be able to do anything with that, apart from at the least maybe spam out a couple of annoying crushes on that bottom lane. But still, two safe laners, Ditchara and Envy, 32 for 13, still favouring the man on Secret with 27 for 7 on that safe lane.
Going to look to make their first move though. They've smoked up their two supports and are heading towards mid. This is
a good move.
This is them going for like an early first blood or possibly a tower. They're not going to find the Mirana here.
They're desperately looking for General. I mean, General's been really smart with his positioning. Really. He's kind of been all over the place. We saw him at the start, involved in the 3v3 aggression mid, headed towards the top, but you know he heads back. He's found level 3. He's not leveling as great as Universe on the Slardar, but he's not dying. And you know, I say that he is heading up here now. We'll see if this smoke from Secret does end up paying off.
He'll see the heroes now. They start hitting the tower, and now he kind of knows what's going on. Even if he walks into pipe.
Oh, cheeky drive by Arrow, and now he's fine. General.
he actually wanted one of the neutral creeps there. He's trying to slow down the push by arrowing a neutral creep, ideally drawing aggro off the tower, but looks like this tower will go down. So Secret, they get the objective, which was to them perhaps more important than finding a kill on an offlane, although it is first blood, so that first kill becomes a little more valuable. But Secret's looking at the big picture. They're looking at objectives more so than just a pick-off hero there.
Yeah, and I think it just shows as well, at 5.5 minutes in, how close this matchup has kind of become. Because we're not seeing anyone making huge mistakes. You know, no one's died yet. There's not been a first blood given up. Both teams playing safe. But if you look at the overall picture, you've got to say that Universe is finding a little bit more on his off-lane role. Envy, the slight edge in CS. The mid lane. I mean, that's where it's kind of going the best for Na'Vi, and it's all going to be down to what Dendi can do with the lead that he got early on this BAT CS. As we can see, 29-12 against the 14 for 7. Back on the rune cams, anything going to be found that's nice? Top lane, double damage for Envy. Bottom will be the bounty. No one's going to head down there for the time being. But I feel like at this moment, it's all eyes on Dendi really for Na'Vi.
Yeah, and I think the one downside of the dual lane setup with Na'Vi in the mid lane is that Dendi's very under-leveled. He's only currently level 5.5. It's beyond 6 minutes. This is normally where you'd see your mid at level 6 if they're doing well. So Dendi, yeah, free farming away, but hasn't got the XP. He has got stacks to fall back on, which are likely to happen soon. He can fall back, take the stacks, give the mid lane to the Phoenix. Looks like they attempted to go to kill Narteezy, but slightly fumbled it.
This is risky, because now Dendi, well, this looks like this could be your first blood. Secret, they're ready to capitalize on that. We talked about it early. You're unlikely to get that kill on the Invoker, so a little bit of the first mistake there from Na'Vi trying to make a go, and Secret, as talked about by the panel, they're the kind of team that's going to capitalize on these mistakes.
Yeah, that was a misdive. The flame break didn't quite push the Invoker in the direction he was hoping for. General at top, considering going for a kill, but doesn't go for the leap in.
He needs to be careful as well, because Secret, as soon as they've done that kill on the mid, they head back towards the top. Envy's got an Omni if he needs to use it, and he's going to pop it. No point where I'm kind of messing around there. Another clean kill for Secret. And it's suddenly, you know, these two kills, the fact that the start, the laning was already going fairly well for this side. Now they're going to do a bit of pressure onto the tier 2. It's the momentum that Secret were looking for.
It's just been very polished play from them. They've read Na'Vi's movements well, and this is something where you can see they've done their homework, whether it's 1437 or Puppy, like checking out the replays, knowing when Na'Vi are likely to go for their aggression and baiting them in. Arteezy's just there, knowing that he has the backup behind him. If they go on him, that plays into Secret's hand.
And we can see at the moment from the creep stack status, Dendi started to clean up some of these camps, so he is going to get that timing on his items. It's, as we were saying, just all about what he's going to be able to do with it. And who he kind of looks for first. He's 1300 towards the Blink. Once he gets that Blink online, where are you looking on the map for kind of the pickoffs, the kills, and who are you looking to team up with? Is it joining Ditchara and trying to look for a good Chrono?
I don't think the Bat with the Void don't have the best synergy because you can't go Fireflying into the Chronosphere, you get trapped inside it yourself. So more likely we see him team up with the Phoenix as well as possibly the Mirana. And then basically you send the Void and the Bat Rider off different directions. Either of those heroes has great kill potential when they use their ultimate, but they need one of these cores with a Phoenix Sunray or with a Mirana Arrow.
They're going to make a go here with this boat. If they can close the gap with a good bounce or two, so that you get the last one they get it. The flame break back, bringing Artor into the reaches of Dendi, and it's a clean pick off for Na'Vi.
They actually give Artsal a lot of experience prioritization here. Hitting level 6 at 8 minutes into the game, he rotates. And again, these supports are very important for Na'Vi this game. This is not a game where you can afford to have them fall behind on levels or on farm, because the Death Ward, the Sunray, these are crucial tools to make the Void pick and the Batrider pick work. Void and Bat don't have much damage output on their own. They're very reliant on their teammates to get kills.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Void. We haven't really talked too much about Ditcherel, but the fact that he has had this space at down bottom, he's got the Vanguard. He's going to be very hard to kill if you're Secret. I mean, you are relying on the lockdown of, well, either the Slardar being able to close the gap or having Pi around on his Lion. But the Void is going to be a tricky kill. But then at the same time, are you that bothered about killing the Void at this point in the game? You're probably just going to look elsewhere if you're Secret, aren't you?
Yeah, I think you're more worried about him TPing in and rotating with a Chronosphere and winning a team fight. So I think for now, until they get possibly a Finger of Death on... Well, Finger of Death is actually up soon on Pilot Eye, so that's where Secret can look for their next smoke rotation around that Lion Finger.
Yes.
That can head towards someone like the Batrider of Dendy if you can kill him before his blink. Possibly the Void is also a good target. He's just a much harder target. So if you want to go for the Void, you need to commit possibly 3 heroes. You might be able to get away with 2 heroes plus a Sunstrike.
We'll see. Indeed, what the next bit of play is going to be for the Siders. Actually, looking back to Dendy, I'm sure after that kill on the Invoker that he was involved in, he must be pretty close to that. Yeah, that Blink Gold Gendy, just a couple of hundred away.
He's going to finish these stacks and actually have his Blink Dagger up. So Artstyle taking the mid lane, and Artstyle not just levels, but this is a support player who often plays very greedy and gets a lot of farm on heroes like Witch Doctor. So we're going to see him start working on his own economy. They're using scans to actually try and scout Dendy out in his jungle. I really like that play from Secret. Even though they don't see Dendy with the scan, it's something which tells them, hey, Dendy's not there. Why isn't he jungling this camp? Does he have his Blink Dagger yet? And having just got the kill at mid, it's very likely that he's about to hit his Blink Dagger timing.
I can see that they're trying to make a go here with this vision that they placed down earlier with the earlier movement. And they're going to find the initiation with the finger, ensuring that they get themselves the kill. Artur a little bit late with the Sunstrike to get himself involved, but nonetheless, it's a pick-off there for Envy and Pi. Now Dendy, as you said, smoking up behind the tier 1, but let's see how well Secret read it. They did scan. They knew that he was no longer farming that area of the map. Maybe they're aware that this is going to happen. We'll see how safely Secret play.
Yeah, this is possibly a kill on Envy. He's got a Vid booster, so he's very tanky.
Oh, he just walks in, goes for the TP out, and there's the lasso. With the Maledict, the Death Ward, he's going to be able to spin himself away from Maledict and magic damage, and in fact, he gets himself
level
out.
Level 4 Maledict, but he's got Healing Ward, so...
And yeah, Poppy's there as well to tend to the wounds of Jackie. So yeah, Envy's going to be fine. So there we have it, really. The Blink Dagger reveal, it's not as... Well, it's not what Na'Vi needed, or not what they were looking for. And Secret will be very happy that they now have that confirmed, that the Bat's got it online, and they don't lose anyone.
Yeah. Don't lose anyone. Doesn't set Na'Vi back tremendously. It would have been a great pickup for them. It would have really kind of given them some momentum to move forward, start taking towers and objectives. And speaking of which, there hasn't really been any objective attempts from Na'Vi. That's something which their lineup is going to struggle to do unless they really pull ahead on kills. So heroes like Bat, Void, Mirana as your cores, you're not looking at tower push.
I mean, because yeah, the Ditcherel's been very static on that Void. He is level 8 now. We're yet to see him do anything with the Chronosphere. It's going to be interesting what the way, how he plays this game. I mean, what is he waiting for? Is he waiting for a certain level to be hit on the supports until they get to a certain position where he can go for a Chrono, they can throw some spells in, and it will be enough to get some of the kills on the bigger cores? Or is he just that they feel it's preferential to have this farming Void so he can start to pick up the DPS items himself?
Yeah, he's playing the more greedy carry role. He's playing, well, I'd describe it more as reactionary. If there's a tower dive, he will always be TPing in, as was the most farmed here in the game. He wants to be in any team fight, but Secret's way of dealing with that is to say, okay, let's not team fight because these tier 1 towers still up in mid and bottom. That means the Void is always going to be able to get there. So they don't want to team fight in any scenario where Void can catch him by surprise. And Void's response to there being no team fights is just a farm. So it's kind of like just a bit of a rock, paper, scissors match between the two teams in that sense.
And as you can see there as well, they just get themselves laid down another ward. It already allowed them to close the gap and get that kill onto General. Maybe it'll happen again for Secret, as they just keep that vision deep over the side of Na'Vi's map. Other item timings, just before the 12-minute mark, Artur finished off his Midas. You're looking at Universe, 1,500 gold towards the Blink Dagger return. Mid lane, Ditcherel comes in with the Chrono, locking down onto Envy. They've dropped the Death Ward as well with the Maledict, but he put it in the Chronos. The initial few touches one there. It doesn't matter because they do finally bring down Envy on his jug. Only just the final touch of the Death Ward bringing him down. But yeah, Na'Vi needed that, and there we have it, the first Chrono, and used to great success just to take down the enemy core.
Yeah, Future very much just the fact he spent so much time farming the bottom lane was really just throwing Secret off.
And look at
Catch
this as
Puppey
well.
too,
Yeah, Dendy, this is the classic kind of play for Na'Vi. They keep the ball rolling, they find one kill, they look for a second, and as you said, Dendy finding the positioning, ready to jump in. Now with 2 heroes down, the space is here for Na'Vi to push on, take a tier 1. But yeah, this is exactly the way that Na'Vi play. As a team, that you see them grouped up as 5, 13 minutes in, and well, what's the answer from Secret going to be? They're going to pop the fortification, get Envy back in. He does have an Omni Slash, so Na'Vi will need to be careful and do back off. So unable to take the tier 1, but a couple of high-value kills, and Na'Vi losing nothing off the back of that.
Just such aggressive play. You have a Mirana who's getting involved early on. You've got a Witch Doctor who max Maledict, a Void with a Vanguard, which in a lot of ways, this is an aggressive item more than a farming item because it makes you so tanky that you can come to fights and not worry about getting blown up during the chain disable of a line to at least some extent.
I think as well as smoke up time for Secret. All
Such
ults
a classic
online.
Envy play. They've scouted it, they scanned it though. They know exactly what's going on.
Oh, this could be a little bit true. We're going to see 40 minutes away. If there's a good room, it's a double damage bottom. Oh, who's going to grab that? That's going to be fantastic for this Roche fight. But Roche is falling quick with the Amplify. Let's see what Pi can do to hold it off. Ditcherard jumps in, looking to take down the line first, but the finger comes out. They've already lost the Witch Doctor. Pi will be taken down in turn. Ditcherard, can he play his way around this? He's still got the DD, but he hasn't got a Chrono for 20 seconds, and Roche is already down. Arteezy gets the Aegis. So support for support trade, but Secret getting away with the Roche and getting away with the Aegis. They'll be fine with that one.
Yeah. A few important things there. They had the Sentry already in place, prepped for the Moonlight Shadow. They also knew that Chronosphere is on cooldown. So Secret go for that, kind of recognizing that unless Na'Vi are there really early on and get a great Batrider initiation, which is hard without the 4-staff. He blinks in, he lassos. If he gets stunned right away, Dendy gets blown up. So without a 4-staff, it's very hard to initiate around that Roche area. And Secret managed to get away with the Aegis. So really nice. Bit of a risky play, but it pays off.
Yeah, as you can see there from the Courier, maybe a little bit of a reaction to that play. Sentry's already coming out, so ready for the the next fight around that situation, so they can get the D wards on the sentries that are down. So they feel that they've got a bit more space to play around with the Moonlight. 4-4, 15 minutes in. Secret, with the most recent bit of an edge, thanks to that Roche. What Universe blinking in onto Suneko. There's your Sunstrike from Arteezy. And they'll make that 5-4. A nice pick up there from Universe. Does get this reasonable blink timing, and I think a lot of eyes have to be on this Slardar because Universe, as they were talking about in the panel, he is a man who likes he needs to get his item timings. He has got that this game, and when he does have that, he can single-handedly just destroy a match. So they've got to be very aware of Universe jumping in and making these blink initiations.
Oh yeah, this is going to be already. It's been a great game for Universe and will continue to be so. And that's something which I think Secret, at least Universe, matches up well against Na'Vi because their supports prioritize that mid lane so much. This is a team that Universe will just naturally get more farm and levels against. So we're going to perhaps see Universe thrive a lot more in this series than some of the other series because during Epicenter he was struggling against all these teams who would tri-lane against him, completely shut him down, and then he's unable to have a mid-game impact. So far so good, the Secret offlaner.
Well, Ditcher as well going for the Oblivion stuff, so I imagine that is going to be the Echo Saber.
Yep. Yeah, just picked up the Ogre Club. Very good stats, and Void's a hero that can sometimes have some slight mana problems with the Chronosphere.
Yep.
Makes him even tankier beyond what he already was, so see where he goes after this, because I imagine that's where the build really becomes open. You've got your Waga Radiance build. I think more likely you see something like a Diffusal type build coming out from Void. Always very good, but there's plenty of item options for a hero like Void.
It seems to both sides as well. No one really looking for the action at the moment. Well, we can see Puppey just continue to pick up levels and farm in the jungle on his edge. He's now level 8, and with the Dragon Lance 600 gold on top, he's certainly getting the way to being quite a scary force. And you got to look as well with the kind of the lineup that they've got, the fact that they can have those frontliners like the Jug and the Slardar, just so it's hard for Na'Vi to focus an Enchantress on the back lines, throwing the impetuses in.
Yeah,
can certainly happen.
And that's where Puppey's happy just to play this more passive farming game. All 5 Secret heroes at least getting some decent level of farm considering their role. On the Na'Vi side, you've got a Phoenix who's kind of fairly low. Artstyle doing not bad. The Mirana's getting out-farmed by Slardar. Everyone's kind of being out-farmed by their counterpart on the other team. I guess if we look at the Invoker as the main carry of Secret, but to that extent, I think Secret getting a lot more out of this early game. And it's surprising to say, like, oh, Secret's going to play greedy and get away with it, because Na'Vi's a team who normally punishes greed, but they haven't been successful so far.
Yeah, see down bottom, Dendy. for an opening. The Moonlight Shadow has been used to give him a chance to close this gap, but Secret already on the retreat out. Doesn't matter. Dendi jumps in, grabs out Puppey. The Starfall, the nuke damage. Is it going to be enough to burst this man down? Bringing him back in the Sunray, but it looks like the heal. No, it can't. No, surely not. No, Sunray, of course it won't. Comes through, will take down Puppey.
While top though, DTR forced to defensively Chrono just to keep himself alive. I mean, with the slow pace of this game, a Chrono just to save yourself is not too big a deal, although last time we saw a Chrono, Aegis went down. This time we may see Secret, upon Enchantress's respawn, go for some towers, because without the Chronosphere, it's very difficult for Na'Vi to teamfight.
Na'Vi trying to stick around for this last hit on the tower, but Arteezy's going to get the deny now. They're in a bit of trouble. Artstar being closed in upon by Universe. Oh, he's going to get deleted there by the side of Secret, so they get the tower deny. And a kill as well. Obviously, earlier on, they did deny the tier 1 down on the bottom lane also. So in terms of the overall gold, the progress, it feels like, we talked about this from the draft at the start. Na'Vi, they go for these kind of playmaking heroes, and it feels like they're not in a position that they would have looked to be in, considering what they've drafted against Secret's lineup at this point of the game.
Yeah, Secret's going to hit a Blink Dagger timing on Lion. They're going to have dual Blinks with Sada already having his. Invoker's just going to probably start tanking up even further, going towards late game items like Aghanim Scepter. Na'Vi just seem to be like always one step behind. Like as far as they're gonna finally get some key levels or an item or two. Like they got the Echo Saber, but they don't have quite enough damage to kill off Secret. And by the time they finish off their next item, they're again going to be like one step behind Secret. So it just feels like there's no easy kills for them to get, and no way for them to ever really pressure Team Secret, at least for the time being. And the other thing is you've got an Aegis for that, it just expired recently, but during that previous 5 minutes, Na'Vi also don't want to take team fights into an Aegis Invoker.
I mean, as you just mentioned, just this timing that Pi's got, and the fact that he's nearly level 11 as well. I mean, it's to the point where some of these heroes have got to be scared of the Lion, even just on his own.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty terrifying.
Lion on his own with a Sunstrike. That's
that's you kill him. I mean,
something over like around 1100 single target damage after reductions, I want to say.
Oh, here we go with smoke up. It was by that dire ward, so I think they might have caught the edge of that Secret. Let's see. If they can get the wraparound onto Pi, I mean, at the least, maybe they can get a line kill. Immediately, the stun and the blink away. Pi, he was ready for that one. And they're not going to be able to catch him by the looks of it. Okay, unless Detroit wants to commit Chrono, and he will. No messing around from Na'Vi. They'll drop the Chronosphere for Pi. They will get the kill. Now Dendi, again, looking for more. Grabs Arteezy, bringing him back. Can they get away with this one? The Supernova coming out. Digirock closing in. The bash is there on Arteezy. He's falling low. He's going to get bashed again. Is he going to go down? Yes, he's going to be caught out by the Supernova stun. They'll get Arteezy as well in Na'Vi. Seneko flying in. The bounces, the cast. The Maledict's down now with the Death Ward. Pummeling into Poppy. Can Na'Vi find more here? Digirock caught out. Place out next to the tower. He can't chase for anything more. Puppy will get himself. Is the heal going to be enough? Now the heal should be enough. Only just. But Na'Vi there, again, doing what we saw them play earlier, where they get one kill instantly. Dendi's already in position, looking for the next one.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where a lot of times you see your big teamfight ultimate Chronosphere blowing on a solo line, you're like, oh, you're in trouble. But it's that secondary initiation factor of Dendi. He's already chasing, looking for that next pickup. And he barely managed to get the 4 stuff away after the lasso. If he didn't get that 4 stuff off to pull Arteezy into the Supernova, that would have been a terrible fight for Na'Vi to commit to. But really great egg coming out from Seneko and put Secret on the back foot. This is the kind of plays Na'Vi need to be making. Very good smoke usage, and they're kind of continuing to at least apply enough pressure on Secret that they're kind of keeping up on farm right now.
Yeah, I mean, that really is the very, very scary thing. The fact that Na'Vi, even if they don't get, haven't got the ball rolling as as hard as they wanted to in the earlier stages, you can never write off just the combos that these guys have got with these heroes. Just one Chronosphere into Supernova. There's a reason why I can't remember the last game that was let through in a draft. So many times teams are very aware of allowing a team to have the Void Phoenix combination. Na'Vi have got it. They've got to be scared, Secret.
Yeah, and it's not like Na'Vi. It's like, well, your carries aren't doing amazingly well. Like you've got both, well, Bat's not really a carry, but you've got Moran in the offlane with an Aghanim Scepter now. Yeah, General right now is only in 6.3k net worth, but he's going to quickly accelerate and probably will outfarm Dendi probably within the next 8 to 10 minutes. And at that point, you've got kind of this 3-core lineup with a Witch Doctor who also packs a punch. Artstyle has got his Aether Lens, building towards what looks to be an Aghanim Scepter now. So times are looking a lot better for Na'Vi, and I think they've just kind of adjusted their overall game plan to go much more into the late game, recognizing that Secret themselves are playing passive, trying to scale, and just play things slow.
Yeah, I mean, Artur, he's been finding the space. 3-2-1, he's nearly got his own Aghanim Scepter. So at that point, We'll certainly see Arteezy step up what he can throw into the fights. He's already been doing quite a lot anyway for the team. He's been looking for those Sunstrike potentials. At the same time, that's another thing. I mean, you can see Pi with his positioning. He's really looking for kind of the blink, the hex that is set up for the Sunstrike. But Na'Vi, for the time being, aren't giving it to him. Yeah. General has come down here.
That's just like such great map awareness.
Yeah, they're just playing it so safe, Na'Vi.
Yeah, no one's even trying to. I say that I'm probably going to curse General.
Yeah,
he's going to walk up to
classic
farm.
casters curse it.
He didn't farm at the tower, and then now
now
he
he comes out. Okay.
Oh, leap, friend.
Yeah. Oh, hey! That was a beautiful stun. I think Pi was a little bit surprised himself that he hit that one, and he's actually going to pay with his life here. He's gone.
Yeah. I mean, you can see Na'Vi actually 5-man TP top, and I think the call from General was like, okay, I think this top lane's a trap, but I'm going to go into farm, and I'll bait the trap, because the fact that he didn't farm at the tower and then he farms the creep wave further away from the tower was like, whoa, that's like, why would you not farm these 10 creeps at your tower but then push out further? So Na'Vi, very much a calculated risk when they sent General there, knowing that they'd counterplay it. But it's Secret on the other side of the map who actually get the better exchange here. They're going to lose a Lion and a tier 1 tower, but taking Roshan once more, very much favoring the Dire side.
Absolutely, they'll take that every time. This time getting the Aegis over onto Envy. So maybe in this game they want to try and go for some pushes here with this Jug. We'll see how much Na'Vi want to put in the pressure on this top lane. It's all being spotted out, though, by the side of Secret. They know exactly what's going on up here. And they're just going to ignore it and avoid it for the time being. Obviously letting Na'Vi get away with that tier 1, but as you said, they find their favourable trade. And Na'Vi, even, they're not going to stick around for the tier 2, already retreating back onto their half of the map.
And even with an Aegis, it doesn't seem to me that Secret are going to be able to just group up, go for any kind of big push. It's Na'Vi who have the teamfight advantage with their initiation from Void and Batrider, and Slaughter not bad in terms of initiation, but he puts himself in such jeopardy. Anytime he goes for a Blink Crush, he has to catch either the Void or the Batrider and basically take out one of the counter initiation tools of Na'Vi, but that's the beauty of having two. When you saw the first 4 picks of Na'Vi, it's like, oh, their draft isn't that great, because if Secret ever kill the Void and they initiate on him, the fight's just lost for Na'Vi, but now they've got the Bat, it means they have a way to kind of counteract that. So next move's coming out soon. Envy close to level 16, having that maxed out ultimate does become a bit of a teamfight beast then, but gets still tricky for Secret to take objectives.
Absolutely. Arteezy's just picked up his own Aghanims, as you said. I mean, Envy as well in terms of the gold. He's got about 2.4k gold available. There's a blink now on General, so we will be able to see him maybe try and attempt to jump in and help burst down the backliner's Light Puppy, get himself in for the Starfall and be able to leap away.
It's still unclear what he wants to go for. He saved up 3.2k, so if he wants to go full team fight, goes for an Ags, but I don't really feel that strongly like an Ags is the item here. I think he can go for some actual physical damages. He's like the physical damage for the team, so going for a Butterfly, the Radiance build seems perhaps a bit more preferential.
Yeah, I mean, Butterfly was certainly great here, because the question is who builds the MKB? I mean, Arteezy's not going to really want to be getting it on the Invoker ideally. Maybe the Jug picks up one, but at the same time you'd imagine Jackie wants to look for other items first. Oh, we'll see now Secret what they're able to achieve with this one. They're smoked up. Ditcherar's got a DD up top, so if they do manage to make themselves round towards the mid, I mean, if you can get a Chrono, get a few slaps in, Ditcherar can certainly punch back, but we'll see what kind of opening Secret get here. Wrapping around towards the mid, the ping's coming out.
They're very much smoking around this level 3 Omni / timing, but yeah. Not finding any targets initially.
Oh, straight away, look, they tried to jump in
back
onto Pi. Pi got the blink out in time, and now Universe catching out Artstar, the Sunstrike as well. Artstar being bursted low, but he keeps himself alive. The Supernova coming out. Now Secret are going to be careful. Envy Blade Fury trying to get himself away. Puppy's being dragged back into the Supernova rage, and now the Sunray comes through. Arteezy taking down Puppy as well. They've lost 3. Secret maybe make that 4 as Ditcherar and General chasing down the Juggernaut. Their bashes come through. They'll find one. Can they kill him a second time here? The arrow timing, oh, it's nothing less than perfect from General. Triple kill for Ditcherar. And Secret with a smoke that ended up going absolutely disastrously. Just great reactions there from Na'Vi.
Yeah, Secret even had the sentry on the high ground to see the Moonlight Shadow being used, but Ditcherar found the Blink Chrono online. Again, this one hero Chronosphere, but taking out, it's the follow-up damage. He's actually a huge amount of the burst damage. Arteezy doesn't get the best spell landing coming out from his combo. He doesn't actually dish out that much damage in the team fight, and Na'Vi just out-executing Team Secret in that fight. Just great play all around. Everyone just getting full value out of their big ultimates. The Supernova was well placed. Yeah, it's just a one-hero Chrono, but you got it on a very key target.
Absolutely. I think this is kind of just one of the strengths of Na'Vi compared to Secret that a lot of people would have appreciated coming into this. You know, just their team play is incredibly tight. Whereas you look at towards Secret, I mean, yes, they've got the star players, the individual performers, but when it kind of comes to those kind of high-octane situations, it's not surprising to see Na'Vi be able to, as we say, just come out on top.
The synergy still just seems to be a little bit lacking for Team Secret. The early game looked fine, but that's because it was very slow paced. They didn't have to team fight. There were some nice movements from Pi and Puppy, who've been playing together for a long time with their support duo, but now that we're seeing these kind of more mid to late game team fights happen, Secret just don't seem to all be on the same page.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do now. I mean, in terms of going for another smoke, maybe they'll hold it off, especially with the fact that they were smoking with an Aegis. This time they don't have that. So they may fall back into kind of the passive play we saw earlier, just continue to get that farm up on Envy and get more and more space for Arteezy, who's still sitting there. He's behind General, Dichara on the Void, who's sitting at the top of 15,000 net worth on his Faceless Void.
Daedalus pickup, so he's gone for a big single target damage item.
I mean, this is not a Void build we see every day. But then again, we don't see a huge amount of safe lane Void.
Yeah, he's gone for, he's got the extra attack speed from the Echo Saber, so works out quite, it's more damage output than a Butterfly, and it's just like all-out aggression. I think he's just basically decided, I've got 2k HP, I've got a Blink, I've got Time Walk, I'm not going to die.
Zeep top Pi, maybe seeing if he feels he's got the chance to jump in a burst General with a finger and Sunstrike from Arteezy. But if he does try that, Dichara, of course, is going to be there to potentially react. So Pi's just playing it safe, and General knows he can play like this. He knows that he had the backup of Dichara around. Now Dichara backing up. He's going to go down to the bottom. So now General is on his own. General needs to be a little bit careful up on this top lane. He's coming very far out, and the Universe jumps in, gets the initial crush, and with this amount of lockdown, there's no way the Secret can fluff this one up, and they won't. They'll get the kill onto the Mirana. Yeah, General's just coming a little bit too far out there on the top lane. Bottom lane, there is a Chronosphere, and Arteezy. What's he doing here? He's very much dead. So, I mean, whereas General makes one blunder, it's your Invoker, your mid laner for Secret, making the blunder in return.
Our friend on the Twitter comment asked for some Kokonas, but I think we're going to get a different Twitch emote for that death.
Yes. And that was, yeah. Well, Envy needs to be careful as well. He's just come out to pick the rune, and Dendi, he's got a lasso, and Envy will get the Blade Fury off in time, but it might not matter. You've got to remember that Dichara is doing a hell of a lot of damage with these right clicks. Envy does get the Omni out. They're not messing. They'll pop the Supernova here. Dichara just kind of juggling Envy near the Supernova, so he comes out the Omni Slash. He still dies. And it's just little things like this which just make you feel that Secret, they're not all there yet, guys.
And Na'Vi are all there. That was so well executed. Dendi commits the Force Staff to initiate, pulls the jug all the way back, and Siniko knows if he Omni Slashes me from the high ground, I just pop my egg. Dichara's not going to die. He's got Vanguard as well as Time Walk, so every little thing was done well, and also he can't TP out. Dendi held onto his Flame Break, so there was no way to TP out after the Blade Fury. Everything from Na'Vi just being so well synergized within this team.
And a tier 2 as well to boot here. More gold into the bank of the boys on the Radiant. I mean, I guess when it gets to it, because we've got to start to consider it now, because Secret, they only have one tier 2 left. When it comes to high ground defense for the side of Secret, I guess it's still relatively good, but at the same time, I feel that Na'Vi, they've got some great heroes for breaking the high ground and just jumping past the tower, considering the Chronospheres, the Supernovas, where you can just dive in and go, that they could create space to push up to the heights. So it's going to be very interesting to see how well Secret can hold their tier 3s and racks when it does come to it, at the inevitable point of the game that it looks to be moving towards.
Yeah, I think you're totally right that Na'Vi, they may not have the hero to actually right-click down the building quickly, but having these big initiations, like diving past the tower, Na'Vi's specialty is going to be what their lineup can do. Your Void gets farmed enough, put an Aegis on him maybe as well, and he'll just blink past Chrono 1, 2 heroes. Even if he only Chronos and kills 1, like, it's still an initiation. It still turns it into a 5v4 scenario. In general, he's going to keep on scaling into the late game, has his farming item in the Aghanim Scepter. Since then has picked up Travels and Blink Dagger, has overtaken Dendi, and next up is let's catch up to Envy and farm. Let's catch up to Arteezy. He's just going to keep on farming more and more as this game goes on.
Yeah, Ray really is impressive, as you said. As I was saying at the start, it's a hero he loves playing, and we can see why he's having a great time at the moment.
Yeah. I don't think Envy's gotten any value out of this Diffusal Blade pickup. With the team fights that have happened, he'd be much better off with going for the Blink Dagger before the Diffusal, and I think that's been a big mistake for Jackie. The team fights have just completely gone backwards for them.
Dendi kind of playing with this. You said, Na'Vi are a tower diving group of specialists. Dendi unable to find any vision on anyone. He just headed up for a quick peek into the base of the side of Secret.
For Na'Vi, they'll likely at least wait for the next Roche. That's something they probably... They look back on this game and probably say, okay, like that second Roshan especially should not have been given up when we were the ones in control of this game. Let's make sure that we keep the lanes pushed out as much as possible. General, he's often, like he died last time at this top lane alone, but that's partly because his job right now is to be that kind of expendable hero who solo pushes out top lane, puts himself in a bit of danger, but you have to keep this top lane pushed out to control the Roche area. If you let that top lane keep pressuring your tier 2, after that it starts pressuring on your tier 3, that's when Secret get another Roshan.
Envy, I mean, he's playing very perilously here, coming over into the jungle of Na'Vi. He's getting away with it as well for the most part. Na'Vi are around and down here, and they obviously do have a lot of catch. And with this smoke, they're going to be able to use it. Let's see where they're going to head. It looks towards the mid lane, maybe. Maybe seeing if they can try and catch someone out inside the jungle. Yeah, pings onto Arteezy. With this vision that Na'Vi have over the side of the Secret's jungle, they know that he's up and they know that he's around. The question is, can they actually turn? Because you can see that both Universe and Pi are up there if Na'Vi find their way right up to that top lane. But at the same time, there's 4 of Na'Vi, there's only 3 of Secret up here.
Yeah, if you're Secret, you're like, okay, we see them around the top, no one else is on the map. Those 4 heroes can be anywhere.
And here we have it, Arteezy's walked into it and straight away they jump forward. They should have, do they not? Yeah, they do. Okay, here we go. They've got the vision down, they'll take him. They'll find it with a gem on Dendi. It's an easy pick off onto Arteezy once again. And the rest of Secret just bailing out of there. They know that they, but Universe and Pi, they can't do anything to save Arteezy. They've got to save themselves.
It just feels like Secret are now in this funk where they're not really trying to stick together. They're just sending out everyone as single heroes to split push. Like Pilot is going out on his own to get wards up and look for kills with the Blink Dagger initiation plus Sunstrike. You've got Envy just pushing out lanes to farm by himself, trying not to die. Split push.
Oh! That was close. Nearly. Yeah, a second early and he would have been able to drop the chrono and get that one.
But
and Envy lucky to get away there.
Yeah, Secret are just seemingly lost. This is something that like the old Cloud9 used to have problems with in a lot of Jackie's teams. They get to these late game stages and all they can really do is fall back on this kind of split push style, avoid fights, keep the lanes, like kind of like the Rat Dota type play where you just keep the lanes pushed out, prevent your opponents from ever going for a push because they always have to worry about a side lane. Like what Envy's doing now, he's at top lane pushing this out, knowing that once Na'Vi finish taking Roshan, he wants to make sure they can't just straight go for a push down mid lane. But this doesn't win you the game, it just drags the game out.
And I mean, with that Aegis, do you feel that is going to be what Dendi do? I mean, for the time being, they're going to send General up top to push that lane out, but the rest of the 4 of them, they're still mid. I mean, at what point, if you are Na'Vi, do you look to try and push onto the tier 3s?
It'll probably happen quite soon. For General, you can see he's firing arrows over the tree.
Oh,
like,
he's hitting
finds
them.
Universe.
I don't know if he can follow this one through. In fact, well, he is. Blinks in, leaps in. He's going for the kill onto Uni. Backup's going to be there as well with the Sunray. Dendi blinking forward, and General...
What a player.
General Marana, boys and girls. General Marana.
So the game plan for Na'Vi is very much, we want to be able to push high ground, but the only way to do that is to keep this top lane. This top lane is constantly plaguing them. But General, as the one to push it out, he just fires an arrow there to scout. He's just like, look, I'm always going to be alone, so let's kind of cover my bases, get some vision, see what's going on, and happens to find Universe. And now the lanes get pushed up. And again, it's not just the bottom, it's the top lane, it's now also the bottom lane. So this is going to continually happen. General's going to have to keep TPing back alone. Likely we see General get picked off here or there unless he plays it perfectly. But his job is to be the counter pusher. Secret, their overall game plan is to keep these lanes pushed out so Na'Vi can't go high ground.
Yeah. And as we saw in the top lane there as well, just General continuing to do what he did on the side lane. Just, as you said, throwing the arrows out, getting this vision, which is great against the side of Secret, because you look at the way that they've been playing, Pi and Universe, half the game they have been hiding in the trees. That's what these heroes do.
Yep. And unfortunately, once you get to your high ground defense, it's not something you can necessarily rely on.
See how they do look to defend it. Tichara.
I wonder if they do. Jackie's got a double damage, which is going to wear off. He does not have a TP, by the way.
It's such a hard fight for Secret.
This is classic Jackie Mao. No TP, enemy pushing high ground. He needs to get back, or that he needs to go for the split push at bottom.
Oh my goodness, he does.
Arteezy's also, they're going both heroes down bottom lane, almost as if they're going to try and go for a trade.
I mean, did they just let this fall? I mean, at the moment, it feels like that's what Secret are doing, and Dendi jumps in onto Puppey. He's going to drag him into the rest of his side. Universe gets the crush off onto Ditchara, but General jumps in with a burst of the Starfall. The Enchantress is gone. And Na'Vi continue to pound away the tier 3. Arteezy desperately looking to split push here down on the bottom lane. Na'Vi, they don't care for the time being because they're pushing harder. They're onto the racks. There'll be a buyback from Puppey. Envy jumping in with the Omni Slash. Nice crush as well. Finger onto Denny. Denny's got Snako. Gets the chance to get the Supernova. Ditchera with a Chrono onto 2. Universe has gone pie as well. Ditchera is going to be able to find Envy as well as the Supernova stun comes through. Jackie's dead. Puppey's on his way back to base. This would be a dieback if he goes down, but it looks like he'll be fine. Ditchera hasn't got the punch to fight for Untouchable, but nonetheless, Secret losing 3 bottom lane. Arteezy continuing to try and push forward on this bottom, but he's got to get himself out. And Na'Vi get away with that.
And if Arteezy gets the melee racks there, I think you're at least okay with it for Team Secret, but he survives them at 250 HP. A great Blink Omni Slash initiation from Jug. Unfortunately, he got a bit unlucky and he didn't kill the Phoenix before the egg. They do still kill the egg, but it requires a lot of extra time where Enchantress and Jug had to keep attacking that Supernova to bring it down. They buy some time. They did have to use a buyback on Enchantress, 1 buyback on the Phoenix for Na'Vi. So I like the overall approach to the high ground defense. You can kind of see like the Puppey influence on this team, as well as the Eternal Envy influence, where it's like they've got this great game plan to kind of trade Raxes in these kind of desperate scenarios. These are players in a team that just does so well when they're in these what look like almost lost position to defend your high ground. They find a way to make the best out of a bad situation, but Na'Vi, they cut their losses, they keep their melee racks alive.
As we can see, Na'Vi now getting up ready for that kind of style of play. The fact that Ditchera now with a boosted travel, so someone else is going to be able to head back and join in. E-Blade's now done on General. So this man, he can jump in. I mean, he can easily burst down a hero like Puppey. Actually, got Universe. Closing in on him. He's actually going to miss the crush. So he has to get himself out.
Yeah, and having the Ghost Scepters, the E-Blades, is going to help against that Omni Slash a little bit. That's where the Envy Diffusal Blade will pay off, although we haven't even seen him use a single charge yet. But very much a game that Secret's going to have to play perfectly from here on out.
And Pipe just trying to get some vision out. Ditchera is going to be get caught coming up here, so Secret. Yeah, no one hanging around for the time being. This will all be spotted out by this Warden. The Universe knows it as well, and with his Shadow Blade. Sneaky, sneaky, fishy, fishy. He's off.
Yeah, can't get the kill by any means. Keep vision here, something that has not been dewarded, so see what Na'Vi's next move is going to be with the Aegis expiring very, very soon. They just want to try and take fights, but they know that Secret's going to keep avoiding them. If they show too many heroes in one lane, the other 2 lanes are going to immediately be TP2 by Arteezy or just ran 2 by Envy, and they're going to go for split push. So they have to be very careful about how they approach things.
Well, let's see how heavy they want to go into the spot lane. Na'Vi, for the moment, once again, General just been headed at the top to deal with this push. This starts to come in here from Arteezy once again, as you said.
And this is the right idea from Na'Vi. Send General top, counter push the lane, and then TP and rejoin his team. But when he TPs to rejoin his team, he needs to try and make sure that they are committing to a fight.
Yeah, Arteezy, I want to try and go for good. He's got Universe coming in as well. They could certainly go for an attempt onto General. He'll throw out the arrow, but it's not going to give him any vision, of course, on this Shadow-Bladed Slardon. Here we have it. Crush into the combo. General, can he save himself from this one? Oh my goodness, he has, because here's the backer from Ditchera coming in with the Chrono, the arrow onto Artor, and there's just Samurai burning down onto Universe. Na'Vi hitting back hard. The backup is there for General, and what looked like an easy kill for Secret. Well, Na'Vi said, no, we play as a team. And they just absolutely crushed Secret in that trade.
This is a team of 5 superstars versus a team. That is what this feels like. Secret just feel like a lot of individual players sometimes working together. Like you've got 2 players trying to work together there, but they're not looking at the big picture of Na'Vi are ready for that. Like they have a response to that play, which just works out so well for them. Envy.
Oh, these cast bounces. A little unlucky here for the side of Na'Vi. If they bounce back over to Envy, maybe. He did have the Blade Fury, and he will get himself out. Ditchera continuing to chase. Chrono for 50 seconds, but Dendy's there. Oh, Pi tried to dump him, but instantly Ditchera bashes him down, turns towards Envy, takes down a second. Artstar with a double kill. And again, I can't remember the last time we saw a good bit of action for Secret this game. It's just been Na'Vi for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, and Na'Vi have just completely figured out Secret's approach to the game with the split push, looking for these pickoffs, and every single time Slardar, Lion has gone for a pickoff, Na'Vi are using these boots of travels, they're TPing in, they're backing each other up. they're already prepped. And that was something Secret did well in the early game, where they backed up Arteezy, baited Arteezy, and it's Navi's using that exact same strategy.
Oh, they caught Digiraya, Tornado, EMP in the finger. They found one. Can they find themselves anything more? They need to. Secret if they want to continue to hold. The buyback's there from Envy. Puppy's starting to move forward, but Navi already backing out.
Great burst damage. Didn't let him get off the cheese.
Look at this, hanging around for the high ground. They're going to go in with the Supernova. Envy's going to play Fury, start to punch down on the egg. They should be able to move. Oh, the Chronosphere! Digiraya coming in time. They've already lost 2 Secret. Envy's going to be in a lot of trouble. I gets the on the out, but it might not matter because Puppy falling low. Connects to anything here. Well, Universe is coming with a 4-man crush. Looking onto Digiraya, but that Puppy is in so much trouble here, getting bursted down by all the magical powers of General on his Mirana. Universe forcing himself back up. But again, just this play, and in a position where it looked like they were just about to take down the Phoenix Egg, and Digiraya just coming in at the last millisecond with that Chronosphere, and Navia back in, pushing into the tier 3, ready to break the base, and you just got to ask yourself, how are Secret stopping this one?
At this point, their 2 carries don't have buyback. If they try and initiate a fight.
Oh, they're going with a crush, Envy. Looking to close down onto Digiraya. Can they bring down this man? Oh, no!
Whoopsie. Arteezy's lassoed up, and it looks like, okay, a disconnect happened. Dendy managed to blink in, dodge the Slatter crush as Universe initiated, and...
Is Digiraya going to have a chance to time walk?
He's got cheese. He's cold snapped up, but he should be fine to get the cheese off in between bounces, so...
Okay.
Looks like he should be okay. He can just pop the cheese right away if he wants to be really safe. So, looking like the possible end for Secret. If they lose Arteezy here during this lasso, it's all over almost. And that he actually got cold snapped in return. It was a Lotus Orb onto the cold snap.
The Lotus Orb.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, let's see how this pans off. Indeed, if Digiraya is going to be able to cheese himself. Let's see if he's ready to get... Yeah, there we are. Lovely bit of cheese. And with the Death Ward on the sidelines, it's a level 16 Aghanim's Ward. Secret, 3 dead, no buybacks available. General coming in, nearly killing Envy in the base there with another beautiful arrow. He's still trying to go for it. He's like, come on.
I got Ags.
Oh, man. General just playing with Secret in the base. At this point, I mean, Secret, they're going to have Puppy back up in 15, but there's no Universe, no Pi for a 45 seconds, 65 respectively, and they're onto the base. Na'Vi, Pi jumping in, just the Hex off, but then he's there, Hostile as well. They'll find themselves Pi Light Die. Envy's going to go down as well, and GG is called. Na'Vi, 32-11, in a very convincing performance, and a lot of people may be looking to this major, ready to see a Secret, ready to bring something a little bit different than what they have at previous events. And I know it's just one game, Gods, but it doesn't feel like they're all there.
Absolutely. This is the same problems we saw at Secret at past tournaments. It looked a little better. I think the early game was a lot stronger from what we've seen at Secret in the past, but that's also because Na'Vi gave them breathing room. I think the early game went as well as it did because Na'Vi showed a different style. I think Na'Vi, more than anything, showed they're not just this one-trick pony that's all about their early to mid-game timings where they have the Enchantress, the Chen, they push, they take the fight to you, they play aggressive. No, this was a much more controlled, late-game oriented style out of Na'Vi.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how both teams react to going into the game too. If we see Na'Vi getting allowed to get some of these heroes again. I really think that Mirana, talked about it earlier, the fact that Na'Vi, they're so flexible with this hero. You can see on Digiraya and Dendy, even in the support position, or of course this game, on General on his offlane. And General, what a player. I mean, the arrows were there, but again, Digiraya as well, that slow start paid off. We said at the beginning, he wasn't looking to be involved and looking for those chronos, but at the end of the day, his chronos were essentially winning the game for Na'Vi. Yeah. But it's hard to kind of put it on one player, because as you said, Na'Vi just played perfectly as a team.
Yeah, their team fight was just far superior to what Secret brought to the table. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens in Game 2, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll stick around on Game 1 because we're going to head back to the panel to see what they have to say about that one as Na'Vi take down Secret in a very confident and dominating showing.
Yes, thank you very much, Odie Pixel and Gods. We'll return to them for Game 2, but let's get the thoughts of our 3 illustrious panel members, and we'll start with Charlie. Charlie, look at what's going on in this game. You said Na'Vi had a great draft. And you were right, they had a great draft. God said this didn't look like Secret had turned up.
No, it didn't. It's like Secret had control of that game. They had the really early Blink Daggers on Slardar, on the Lion as well, but they gave that control back. And Envy went for a Battle Fury. And it's like it's not necessarily the item itself that was the problem, but the mentality behind that item. You have control. Why are you going to go farm? This is a patch where you take fights. He went for the early Vanguard. Great. I love that choice. But then he goes for the Battle Fury to go farm.
Yep.
Go with your team and take fights to them. This is all about control. This is all about pressure. Take those towers. And they just gave it up. And then at some point, they kept on losing team fights because there's a Phoenix, there's a Void. And that pick off from the Slardar and the line, that doesn't mean anything anymore.
We were saying it, like, you can look at Navi's draft and you could tell they have these 3 very long cooldown team fight abilities, and if Secret just runs into them and fights them head on, there's no way that they get this fight, especially with, like we were saying, him going back for the Battle Fury. We've been tending to see Envy, at least like in pubs and stuff like that. Maybe that's not like the best thing, but he goes for, like, he's been doing the Aquila, the Vanguard, and then he goes for the Diffusal Blade usually, almost every single time. But maybe he felt a bit under the pressure this game, and he felt like he needed another item in between and just being able to farm a bit. But like Charlie was saying, it gave the downtime for Navi just to get their levels, get like a couple more things, and then you could see they had so much damage in the team fights in so many different ways just to set it up. And what can Secret do? Like, Chrono, like, just too much.
It's possible they were worried about the ultra late game. They're not feeling very confident right now. They're not winning very many scrims. Maybe they said, well, they've got a Batrider, so that means pushing high ground is very difficult. It's hard to close the game out, so I want to make sure that I'm going to have like an item over the enemy carry because I have a Battle Fury. But like you said, they missed the timing window really heavily. They had to go for something that gave him single target damage, utility, maybe attack speed. That's pretty much what Diffusal does, and they could have killed the egg faster. Like, Battle Fury doesn't help them kill Void more rapidly. They could have gone a Deso if they wanted something like that, or maybe go S and Y to just increase your attack speed against the egg, HP, all those good things. But they just didn't have that, and it put him in such a bad position, and his team wasn't able to pick up the slack.
Yeah, and even Black came over and even mentioned it to us as well. He's like, he's going Battle Fury, which is like a kind of like cleave. Obviously, it's cleave damage. When you have a Slardar who is amplifying your single target damage, and you go this non-single target thing. But I think that's a really good point that you're saying. He probably wanted to opt for that late game because of the fear of the high ground Batrider.
And that's the problem. It comes back to mentality. They're scared. They're not comfortable. They're going back to what they're used to. Split push, just farm the jungle. But you could see it like after the game when they lost. Artur puts his hand in his face in his hands, and he's frustrated. I know Envy and Artur. They bicker about item builds, and I can feel it right there. Artur's just like, he's just clearing out all the waves. I don't have the space.
Give me an accent. You'd be like, dude, I told you not to go Battle Fury.
Dude, I don't have the space to farm. He's just clearing all the waves. I don't have any space, so I just have to go off by myself, and then I get solo chronoed by a Void.
But to be fair,
really good.
You could see the synergy in Navi that game, though. I felt like they had incredibly good teamwork, while Secret just seemed like they were kind of just like, oh, 2 people over here, 2 people over here. Like, Arteezy's farming here, and it was people just getting caught out all over the place. And I think General did a really good job. Charlie even pointed it out that General was using scouting arrows all over the place, and he ended up catching that one on Universe in the forest, and or in the side forest, and it was like, oh my God, how did he know he was there?
Let's actually start to take a look at some of the replays right now. This is 26 minutes in. It's the first really big team fight. We'd had a couple of team fights up to this point, but this is the really killer team fight where Na'Vi really took control.
Oh, they just couldn't kill Artstyle here. That was the big loss, and then following that up, the egg got off, and at that point, Arteezy was committed. Look at him. He's like, I'm going to kill the egg, guys. But everybody ditched. Envy backed off. You could see him staggering. It seems like they just weren't on the same page in that fight. And it was a bit of a weird initiation, but even still, at some point, you have to make a call, and everybody has to stick to it.
And it makes it really hard that there's so much, like, AoE damage going around that the blink daggers are getting constantly cancelled. So Universe, you could see he's trying to get back into that fight, but the Phoenix egg ticks on him for a second, or oh man, I run into a Firefly on the floor by accident. And I think Ditcharai in that fight also did pretty much exactly what he needed to do. Isolated Pylai Die instantly, takes him out, and then where's your form of lockdown if there's no line, there's no burst, there's no lockdown, time dilation versus the Invoker afterwards, he can't even do anything.
Yeah. It was a really hard fight, honestly. Yeah. As a whole, I think Na'Vi just itemized way better than Secret did. The Void build was really good. We talked a long time about what do you do after Echo Saber. Echo Saber really does give Void a lot of the things he wants. Gives him right-click damage. It gives him a slow to start things off so you don't necessarily have to chrono. It also gives you a better chance at bashing initially. We had a little bit of discussion about whether or not there's an internal bash cooldown or not, but if it doesn't exist, you could potentially just double bash somebody right at the start and do 250 magic damage. Like, there's so many good ways that it transitions you, and then because he was so far ahead, he just buys Daedalus, and then he has an easy shot of just two-shotting somebody like a support with the double bash with Echo Saber. Just itemizes so well.
It's a Void who is, I think he was level 15 or something at one point with 1900 HP. That's a Void.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have an armlet or anything. No, he has a Vanguard and an Echo Saber. So how do you burst through that? You're gonna have to expend so many different resources in order just to kill the Void, and they have so many different things to save him as well. You know, the Sunray as well as the Chrono.
There was no way that Jug kills Void that game.
Yep.
Like, unless he got an Abyssal Blade or something like that, or was ahead in items. Because once you get Vanguard, it damage blocks every slash. You know, buys him time to potentially just reset all that damage. If he gets Omni Slash, he can time walk, and sometimes the Omni Slash will just stop. Like, it was such a good solution, the carry Void versus the carry Jug.
Okay, let's take a look at it later on in the team fights. This was another big team fight, 37 minutes in or so, and this is almost the beginning of the end, really, for Secret at this point.
I think this is one of their best fights, actually. Yeah, the triple crush with this Battle Fury was actually good in this fight, and a great Omni Slash, but the egg getting off really changed everything.
And they're already far behind. Like, the real problem in this is that right before this fight, they got to pick off on the Enchantress. She had to buy back, and they had to take that fight because Envy didn't have a TP. He was running all the way back to base when they were right outside, just knocking on the door, taking down that tower. Envy didn't have a TP.
I just looked like Na'Vi looked more prepared in this game completely. Like, even in the positioning in their fights, they seem just to be more aware of where they're standing. And then you could see, I commented on during that fight too, you see Seneko, he went up on the high ground there in the trees, got a beautiful ward down, and they could see everything that Secret was planning. So I really like the way Na'Vi just synergize this game.
Fog, you highlighted General as a player that we should watch and we should take note of, and that Secret should take note of, and he had a couple of great plays in there. I'm not sure we have the replay, unfortunately, but there was a moment when he got caught out and we all just went, oh no, he's dead, and somehow gets out of that and then gets a couple of kills off the back of it. I mean, it's just great play like that really fires up his team.
Yeah, and it was attributed to his item build too, because he went for that Aghanims, then he went for the Veil, and I think he bought, I don't know if he had the Ethereal Blade at that point, but maybe, so he did. So he has an absurd amount of armor, and you know, with Leap he gets out, and then, you know, the follow-up, the Chronosphere, the Sunray, everything is just, it's too hard for Secret to really kill people. Like I was saying, they need to expend so many resources just to kill one target.
Yeah, it would have been okay if they were looking for those kind of kills earlier, but because the game went passive and they didn't get any kills, it didn't allow them to accelerate where they needed to. If you have a hero like Slardar, you have to win team fights or get kills, because he's not that fast of a farmer, especially if he goes Tranquil Boots. So you have to adjust into the late game, and if you're looking for those kills when the offlane hero has Aghs, Veil, E-Blade, that's such a hard kill.
Yep.
If you start ganking him when he only has Aghs, Midas, or just Aghs, then that's a possibility, but it's still a little difficult. It's like Secret just did not have very good single target killing heroes against Void, Vanguard, and Murano with an Aghs that fast. It was very tough for them.
I disagree. They had great single target killing heroes.
They did, but it was too late.
Yeah, but they didn't use them. The playstyle that they transitioned to with the Midas on Invoker, with the Battle Fury on Juggernaut, they just go for split push, and then you have an Enchantress, an underfarm Enchantress, underfarm Slardar, underfarm Lion, trying to, they're going to go off and try and find pickoffs themselves? It doesn't work that way. You have to go with your cores. And this is the thing that I think teams, especially Secret, and including EG as well, have to start to understand.
I really liked how Dendi picked up a relatively early gem too. When they were starting to feel a bit of pressure on them, he picked up the gem, and they right after he got the gem, I'm pretty sure they cleared like 1 or 2 wards, and then they took a fight near the tier 2 tower of Secret, and it was a huge fight for them. They got like 2 or 3 kills, and that's just super beneficial, because then I think they just got